This week on the Coach and the Don, we break down the top 10 NFL coaches currently in the league. Then we break down our top 5 potential NFL coaches soon to be seen on the sideline. We break down our NFL casting call this week starring the movie Anchorman. And finally, we finish with the cities with the best chance to have multiple championships from multiple sports.
Gonna find my baby, gonna hold her tight, gonna grab some afternoon delight. My motto's always been when it's right, why wait until the middle of a cold dark night? When everything's a little clearer in the light of day. And we know the night is always gonna be here anyway. Thinking of you's working up my appetite. Looking forward to a little afternoon delight. Rubbing sticks and stones together, making sparks ignite. And the thought of loving you is getting so exciting. Sky rockets in flight.
Boo!
Afternoon delight. You guys have it, I think.
Ah, beautiful.
You guys have it, I think.
What a great scene from a great movie.
Yes.
And we could not be more excited to break it down this week in our NFL casting call.
Mm-hmm.
So here we are, Coach and the Don. Thanks for tuning in. We are live on Twitter and on YouTube. Welcome those of you viewing who stayed up late on the West Coast, stayed up even later on the East Coast. You know, it's about 1 a.m. over there. So,
Which, that's where most of our fans are.
yeah. West Coast based. Well, all of our fans are on the East Coast. So
New York loves us.
yeah, exactly. We score high in that demographic over there.
We do. They appreciate us.
But yeah, no, we're excited to be back. Back live from 51 Yard Line Studios. Coach, how have you been? I haven't seen you in a while.
I know, right? Like, it's been a long time.
Yeah, I've been missing you.
Yeah, we've Skyped, but we've never been this close.
Yeah.
Well, not never, but
We haven't been breathing the same air for a while.
right. It's been a while. It's good to see you. I've been well.
Excellent.
Just super busy, and same for you. But yeah, dude, we're grinding, and
That's right.
we still love each other.
I feel like that's the motto here at Sports Dente. Just keep grinding.
Right?
Grind.
And just for everybody that's out there, we truly are like best friends. Like this isn't just like a fiasco we put on every week. We're like, hey, we got to do a show and let's pretend we like each other.
Yeah, this isn't like Mike and the Mad Dog. If you saw
Exactly.
that 30 for 30 where they like hate each other's guts, but just would put on a good show. Like this is
Yeah, we legitimately enjoy each other's
yeah.
company.
Like we're live at 10 p.m. on a Wednesday because from 8 to 10 we've just been like hanging out trying to like prep for the show.
Exactly.
And we probably could have prepped in 15 minutes if we hated each other, but we just get on little tangents talking and
Yeah.
don't point to me. I'm usually the cause of that. So
As Ryan would put it, we go down rabbit holes and we just
oh yeah, down those rabbit holes, those
Yep.
dark
it.
dark holes. If you're a Twitter user, you know what those rabbit holes are.
yes,
You can just find yourself
yes, sir.
clicking back 100 times like, how did I end up here?
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, I digress, which is something we can talk about later.
You will know what this
Yeah,
means.
we can plug
later.
that later. That was just a little cameo, a little snippet. Yeah, but so one of the big topics right now, obviously, in the NFL is coaches. Obviously, Hugh Jackson getting fired in Cleveland.
Finally.
After 3 years.
Jesus.
3 years too long.
Yeah.
So a lot
Should have
of
never
people
been
said-
hired.
Yeah. We could debate that if we really want to, but we're not going to. But in Denver, there's a big coaching drama. Dallas, I feel like every year there's coaching drama, and yeah, Jerry Jones retains Garrett, but who
But
knows
yeah.
if he will. Him and his circumcision of mosquito wings or whatever we talked about last episode. But yeah, so it's a trending thing about the NFL coaches and how who's going to be retained next year, who's going to be different. But we want to break down our top 10 NFL coaches. I think we'll have a fairly similar list, I would think, maybe a little different order, but let's break down our top 10 NFL coaches as it is right now. A lot of, at least my list, I can't speak for yours, but mine's based on not only current situations and how I've seen coaches play out, but also it has to have a little history to it. The way I've ranked them,
Sure.
so and so forth. So yeah, we don't need to really explain it. If you want to give me your 10 through 5.
Okay. 10 through 6.
Yeah, thank you. 10 through 6.
You do that a lot.
I do that a lot.
You do.
It's
You-
just
you
I'm used to
do
just
that a lot.
I'm used to just like main numbers, and 10 through 6 sounds weird, but those are 5 numbers. So do 10 through 6. You can give a little breakdown of each one real quickly. So say you're 10, breakdown 9, breakdown. I'll give my 10 through 6, and then we can debate a little bit back and forth, and then we'll go 5 from there. So
Okay, I like it. So number 10, I went Mike McCarthy, strictly because longevity, and he's a Super Bowl winning champion.
fair.
Number 9, Pete Carroll, kind of the same thing. Longevity, he's been there a long time, and he has a Super Bowl. He has a couple appearances, 1 win, and the job he did at USC. The guy knows football. He's a good coach.
Yeah.
Dan Quinn, number 8, down in Atlanta. Good pedigree. He came from that Pete Carroll coaching tree. He was a D coordinator there, so he was the defensive coordinator for, I believe, both Super Bowl teams, maybe just one. But he took Atlanta to one Super Bowl, and Atlanta's always kind of at the top of the heap, regardless of current struggles. Number 7, Ron Rivera. Very good coach. He was a good player.
Underrated
in his
coach.
day. Very underrated, yes. No Super Bowl victories, but he has taken them to the Super Bowl. And then number 6, Doug Peterson, the first Super Bowl winning coach on my list. Comes from the Andy Reid coaching tree. Very good coach, very good roster. Second year head coach is when he won a Super Bowl, right? He didn't win it in his first season.
In his second season, yeah. Correct.
So he's a very good coach, very good offensive mind. He was the offensive coordinator for Kansas City for a little bit. But yeah, that's my 10 through 6. McCarthy, Carroll, Quinn, Rivera, Peterson.
Yeah. Love all those. I have every one of those on my list except one I wanted to mention because I went back and forth. Dan Quinn. He was one that I went back and forth on.
Yeah.
I think he's a very good coach. I think the Falcons this year, they're way better than their record shows. They've had a ton of injuries.
Yep.
Yeah, I like Dan Quinn a lot. I don't have him in my top 10, I'd put him at 11. Like he's right there.
Sure.
So very good coach. Has had a lot of changes over his coaching staff just because guys keep getting plucked off as coordinator positions.
Yep.
Much like someone we'll both talk about much later in the coaching regime. But anyway, so my 10, number 10, I have a newer guy, Anthony Lynn.
I thought about him too. He would be my top 15.
Anthony Lynn. Go ahead. Sorry.
No. This is your list, but yeah, I kept him out of my top 10 just because it's very young in his career.
Yeah.
So we'll see where it goes. But yes, I want to hear your thoughts on.
Well, and that was why I struggled a little bit putting him in my top 10, just because this is only his second season as a head coach. But I think what he's had to deal with the injuries in Los Angeles and just the distractions of being the redheaded stepchild and the team that no one cares about, and everyone just hating them for moving from San Diego, and it's like, well, that's not on him. Like, that's on ownership. He's there for a job, and he's a very straight-nosed, kind of hard-headed coach. Seems to have his players seem to like him. He has the locker room. So yeah, I base it strictly on just how performance-based. I mean, they missed the playoffs very narrowly last year after starting off 0-4, and I believe won 9 of their next 11 or whatever it is.
Yeah, they finished very strong.
And then this year now, I did my power rankings last week. I have them ranked 4th overall. So I think we can talk on that later if you want. But Anthony Lynn, so far what I've seen, I can't put him any higher than 10, but I did sneak him in there just based on what I've seen the Chargers from the time Mike McCoy left until Anthony Lynn, those 2 years, how they've improved. To me, that is worthy of having the top 10. Number 9, Doug Peterson. You kind of mentioned it all. Super Bowl winning coach. I think he's a tremendous offensive mind. We've seen a little turmoil this year, and them being 4-4, much better team than 4-4. I think they're gonna be fine. They're gonna make the playoffs, I think. He's a tremendous coach. Love the visor. Love that he still rocks the visor.
Right. Classic coach look.
Yeah, classic.
I always rock the visor. That was my go-to.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're the coach of the visor. Very good.
Of course.
I can't wear visors. I can't.
I used to have visors hanging from my rear view mirror in the car when my life was coaching.
Yeah.
And I lived and breathed it every single day. Dude, yeah, whistle, everything. Dude, I was like the image of the coach. But anyway.
Were you a flip-flop guy, or did you wear cleats, or what was the shoe apparel?
Exactly what I'm doing right now. Game day was tennis shoes, but everything else right here. Socks and sandals.
Oh,
right there. Right there. I still rock those, man.
No, that's like a college basketball player in the dorms.
Right? Yeah.
That's all they wore.
Yeah. No, dude, I was a big sock and sandals guy.
So, like on the field, on the practice field. So visor,
Yep.
whistle, socks and sandals.
Yep. Game days, I put tennis shoes on and some khakis, but yeah, everything else, socks and sandals,
and
man.
some khakis. Did you have like a little Sharpie?
No,
necklace
I
like
went.
Jim Harbaugh?
I went. Oh, I always had the pin in the ear.
Kind of like in the ear, or like in the hat, like this kind of thing.
Yeah, I guess more like that then.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, that's fair. I like
Yep.
that. But yeah, so Doug Peterson 9. Number 8, Mike Tomlin. He's kind of a debatable one. I think I don't love him as a coach, but you can't discredit the success the Steelers have had. Yes, they've had tremendous players, so you credit that, but some of that has to go a little bit to the coach. I mean, they've literally won their division. What?
A lot of that has to go to the coach.
Yeah. Well, yeah. That's why I have him at 8. They've won the division, what, though, like 6-7 years in a row?
Yeah.
Somewhere around that line. I mean, they've made the playoffs.
Ravens won it not very long ago, right?
They
the year they went to the Super Bowl.
They were a wild card that year. They won the Super Bowl.
Oh, that's right. They
a
were.
wild card.
Yeah, you're right.
So I'm
Good call.
pretty sure maybe the Bengals have snuck one in there.
Yeah, I don't think they've won one since Palmer because they've always had a wild card playoff game.
Yeah. So I can't remember for sure, but either way, they've been in the playoffs.
Everyone
talks about it. It's like Steelers, Patriots in the AFC Championship game. Yes, you have Big Ben. Yes, now you have Brown. You've had Bell. Now you have James Conner, who's been the standout. But you got to go back to Tomlin. I mean, people give him flack for certain things here and there, but I think he's a tremendous coach, worthy of the top 10.
Yep.
Number 7, I have Ron Rivera. Exactly how you did number 7. Yeah, Air 5. Underrated, very underrated coach. Carolina's always competitive.
Yep.
After their Super Bowl year, I think was their only year where they kind of hit a little hiccup, missed the playoffs that year, but ever since then they've been back. Always have a very strong defense.
And he's one of the only, if not the only, probably not the only, but one of very few, as a player and a coach to even reach a Super Bowl.
Yeah. That's something interesting to think about. Who of those? Because we had the Harbaugh brothers in Super Bowl 49 or 47, I think.
See, I'm really bad at numbers.
I think it was 47. It was the year before the Broncos got absolutely demolished in 48.
Yes.
I always remember that one, unfortunately. But Jim Harbaugh, longtime quarterback for the Colts and journeyman, I don't think he was ever played in a Super Bowl.
I don't think he ever played in a Super Bowl. No.
Yeah, that's a good question. I can't think of any off the top of my head. But so Ron Rivera is one.
Yes.
I think, and they have a good shot this year. I mean,
they have a good team.
We've talked about Carolina in previous podcasts.
Did you pick them to win the division? You did, right?
I did.
You did. That's what I thought.
Them to win the division.
And dude, they could. I mean, it's not. They're a game behind the Saints, right?
Game behind. I think the Saints
look good.
The Saints look real good.
And they just added Des Bryant.
Yeah, Saints look real good. So but I think they'll make the playoffs regardless whether they win the division or not. So
and we can talk about the Saints more in this list.
We will. Yeah, definitely will. But yeah, I like Ron Rivera at 7. Very underrated coach. Very class guy.
Yes.
Classy guy.
Yes. Yep.
Players love him. He's one of those. I feel like they always have the saying like players coach or like organizational coach. I feel like he falls right like in between those. Players love him, but he's also very like organizational friendly.
Yeah, I feel like that's what 49ers were hoping with Singletary. Same linebacking core from the Bears back in the 80s. But Rivera was the guy. Singletary wasn't.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's what 49ers were hoping to get out of Singletary, but it just wasn't meant to be.
Yeah, I think, that we can go, that's a whole other rabbit hole speaking of
go
down. But I think Singletary was just not given a long enough shot. He was only there for like 1 year, and then they pulled the trigger, or they pulled the plug, didn't they? Maybe a year and a half?
He wasn't there very long, but
I'm not saying it would have worked.
I don't think he handled a lot of things well.
Agreed. He's a very Vance Joseph-like coach.
He is. He's a very
in his decision making, not how he ran things, but in his in-game decision making.
I see. Yeah.
Kicking field goals when he should be challenging plays when he shouldn't be challenging plays, stuff like that.
And this would be a great future segment for a future podcast that we have plugged a little bit here. But I feel like Singletary had coached too much like he played. When you play with emotion, when you play with a chip, when you play with, I got to prove something, it's one thing. When you try to coach like that and you try to put that intimidation factor a little bit too much in your coaching, it's going to fail. And that's what happened. Singletary was just too intense.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, we've seen so much through any sport, not just the NFL, basketball, hockey, baseball, all of them. The great players, the Hall of Fame, all pro players
do not make good coaches.
Do not make good coaches. Whereas the backups
Yeah.
or the secondary role players make fantastic coaches because
Yes.
they're more of the. This is kind of. I mean, you were a coach. I was never a coach, but I was a secondary player. But I understood the game, so I feel like I could
Yes.
literally sit on the sidelines and be like, I can't physically do this, but this is what you need to do to be successful.
Yes.
Whereas a great player knows how to do it, but they don't know how to teach it.
Exactly. Oh my God. I try to explain this to my girlfriend a lot. Like Peyton Manning, I don't think would be a good coach. Tom Brady probably wouldn't be a good coach.
No.
All the greats, just like you're saying, and I don't think they're a good coach. Just like you said, it's so innately instinctual to them to be great at this game. They don't understand what it means to have like to lack the quality of talent to be good at this game.
Yeah.
So they don't understand how to teach it because they're just so good at it naturally. They don't understand how someone couldn't be.
Yeah.
But exactly.
And to break that down more, if any of you listening or listening in the future can't like grasp why, okay, if someone's really good at something, why can't they teach? So picture it this way: if you're phenomenal at one thing and you do that one thing a certain way, so let's brush your teeth. Make it super.
Yeah.
You're a phenomenal. You have no cavities. You brush your teeth a certain way. You have a brother or a friend who's had 10 cavities in their life. You understand. Hey, brush this way. You're not going to get cavities. Well, guess what? They might need to brush a different way in order to clean their teeth because maybe they have a different jaw structure. Maybe their teeth are aligned a different way where it's not going to correctly clean if they're brushing the exact same way you're brushing. So in the realm of sports and coaching, you do something this way to be successful, and that's your streamline because you're good at that. Someone else may be able to be successful by doing it a different streamlined way. So what makes a good coach is he knows his players and knows, okay, this is good. This guy needs to do it this way to be good. This guy needs to do it this way to be good. This guy needs to do it this way to be good. Whereas a great player says, no, this is the way you do it, and if you can't do it that way, then you're not good. And that's why we don't see those great players become great coaches. Am I wrong on that? Is that a crazy analogy that I'm just...
Dude, no. Spot on. Like,
Okay.
perfect. Wholeheartedly agree. That's why I love calling coaches. They teach football.
Yeah.
And to be a teacher, you need to understand how your players learn the best.
Yeah, just like a teacher in a classroom.
Exactly. How are you going to relate to that student athlete? How are you going to get through to them? How do they learn? Are they a visual learner? Are they an auditory learner? Like how is the best way to get them to perform at their very best? And that's what teachers do. That's what coaches do.
Yeah.
They figure out what their players or students need, and they adapt to that. But just like you said, if you're great at something, you know how to be great at it, but you
may not find other avenues to get to that greatness.
Exactly, yeah. If someone is not just naturally great at it, you don't know how to get them to that greatness.
Yeah.
Because for you, it's just natural. I'm great. I'm not really sure how I am, but I am. If you can't do what I do, I can't help you.
Yeah, and that's why someone like a Josh McCown, backup for the Jets, I think he's been a tremendous coach one day.
Ryan Fitzpatrick, Josh McCown, all these career backups.
Yeah.
Rich Gannon probably would have been a really good coordinator somewhere. Frank Reich.
Frank Reich, there you go.
There you go. Doug Peterson.
Yeah.
Harbaugh.
Yeah, and Frank Reich is not on my list, but he was a very close. If I had Dan Quinn 11, he was 11B because I think he's too new, 8 games.
I was going to say,
but I think he's going to be a very good head coach.
And the fact that nothing against Frank Reich, but he was nobody's first choice, and he wouldn't have gotten this Colts job if it hadn't been for McDaniels being a complete d-bag.
Yeah.
But yeah, totally agree. But like those are the guys you see that are good coaches. So Fitzpatrick, McCown, these I'm trying to think of someone who's been a backup for a long time right now, but I can't really think of one. Derek Anderson.
Yeah.
he could be a really good offensive coordinator, head coach one day.
Yeah. Well, Gary Kubiak was
Gary
for
Kubiak
years,
backed
and
up for
he's-
Elway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For years back up, and then he was the offensive coordinator and then head
Yep.
coach, and he was a tremendous head coach.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of Bronco fans want him to be the coach again. I don't think that's going to happen, but that's what they want.
Kubiak?
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Man, no. Get someone new.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
Bronco fans are delusional, thinking that they're saying fire Joseph and bring Kubiak back. It's like, all right, Kubiak left
Yeah.
because of health reasons.
Take her easy.
He's in the front office doing scouting, like he's content, I think. But yes, okay, so that's that was a little rabbit hole. Again, we went down. So my number 6. I only have him at 6 just because he's so new and young. I personally probably think he's a top 3 coach in the NFL right now, but
Okay.
Sean McVay. I have him at 6 just because of how new he is. And it's hard for me to have him that low. You're making faces.
Yeah, I'm making faces because I left him off my list.
You didn't put him in the top 10?
I completely forgot about McVay.
Oh, you forgot. Okay. All right. Well, you're going to have to. I'll give you a second. I'll talk about him. You're going to have to remove someone. Because there's no way McVay is not a top 10
I'm going to have to
coach.
fix this because I even remember thinking of because I was doing my top 3.
Yeah.
And I thought, okay, I need to put McVay somewhere. But I did my top 3.
And then just kind of roll.
And just
through
kind of
there.
rolled through the rest of them, and I forgot McVay was in my mind. So he needs to be 4, obviously.
I mean, he's top 10.
God.
100%.
Oh, he's definitely top 10.
Yeah. So, okay. Well, I'll give you a second to figure out where you want to squeeze him in. But,
Yeah.
So I literally only have him at 6 because he's in his second year. I think his
totally
offensive
agree.
I think his offensive mind is unbelievable.
Mm-hmm.
It's just one of those where, and he's not a gimmicky coach by any means. He runs a very, it's not like, and this is nothing against it. I think college offenses are going to take over the NFL. They really are. I mean, look at how the Chiefs.
They already
things.
have.
They already have. They've made, but he doesn't.
Well,
even,
they haven't taken over, but they're making
They're
a
becoming
big,
a
a big
mainstay.
statement.
They're becoming a mainstay for sure.
Yep.
But McVay doesn't even run like a college style offense. He runs a very modern pro offense, but he changes things up all the time. He's always changing things. He leads his guys. Like I don't mean this. Anyone that's listening knows how great of a coach McVay is. Just
He's
look
a
at
very good coach.
Look at where the Rams were when Jeff
Exactly.
Fisher was there, and look where they are now. So he's only at 6 because he's a second year coach. So we just want to make sure it's not a flash pan kind of thing, and we'll see it fall
Exactly.
off. But that's the only reason why.
Okay, I like it.
Yeah, so that's my 6. So then now you're 5 through 1.
All right, my 5 through 1. So I did a little rearranging
Okay.
just now because I'm an idiot. So I'm going to put McVay at 5. Everything you just said. The guy has, I mean, he's proven because of the turnaround that we've seen from the Rams the past couple of years. How they've gone from, what were they, I don't know, 6, 7 wins, terrible offense, couldn't move the ball, to now they're a borderline record-breaking offense. If it wasn't for the Chiefs, Rams would be the talk of the town. So McVay is number 5. Since I had to do a little rearranging, I'm going to have two coaches at number 4, Mike Tomlin, Mike Zimmer. Tomlin, you mentioned him for Steelers. He you can't leave a Super Bowl an active Super Bowl winning coach off the top 10. Mike Tomlin has been to 2, or no, he has 2. He beat the Cardinals and he beat
The Seahawks.
no, he lost to the Packers. and
You're
then
right.
he-
It was still Cowher when they beat the Seahawks, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that was a long time ago.
Yeah, that was Cowher and Bettis is like right off into the sunset.
Yeah, Heinz Ward was the MVP of that
Yep.
Super Bowl. Yeah.
Yep. So Tomlin has to be there, pedigree alone, and the fact that Pittsburgh is always the consistency. Pittsburgh is always in the race for the division.
Yeah.
Usually in the playoffs.
Oh yeah.
So I have Tomlin and then Mike Zimmer at 4 as well. Minnesota. Last year they had some success in the playoffs. Granted, one play got them there, and then they laid an egg in the NFC Championship. But Mike Zimmer's a good coach. They consistently have one of the top defenses in the league.
He was another one I didn't put in my top 10, but it's like he's worthy for sure.
Yeah,
Very good coach.
Depending on how Minnesota finishes out this year, says a lot about Zimmer. But I think he's one of the top coaches in the NFL. Definitely deserving of the top 10. I have him in my top 5. But number 3, I went Sean Payton with the Saints. Already a Super Bowl winning coach, as you mentioned earlier. I believe, right? You had him in the top in your 10th or 6th.
Sean Payton?
Yes.
No, he's in my top 5.
Okay.
I haven't talked about him yet. So.
Gotcha. But yeah, Sean Payton, Super Bowl winning coach already. Looks like they're a very strong candidate to do it again. The fact that he and Breeze are arguably one of the greatest quarterback coaching duos of all time. They just happen to be in the same era as Brady Belichick, so nobody really talks about them. But yeah, Breeze and Sean Payton are going to go down as one of the greatest coaching quarterback combinations in the history of the league.
100%.
So number 2, Andy Reid. I had to go. Chiefs are arguably the best team in the league right now.
Yep, Big Red.
His offensive play calling with the weapons that he has, bar none. Nobody else is doing what they're doing. They're sitting the top of the league in a lot of offensive categories. This is what the Packers would have been if Reid was at the helm with Favre instead of Holmgren. Reid finally has his Favre, and Reid's the head guy. Reid and Mahomes, man, they're doing magical things, and Reid's a great coach. Since the day he stepped foot in Kansas City.
Can we talk real quick? And I don't want to go into this too much down this rabbit hole.
Okay.
But the Washington Redskins are 5-2.
Yes.
Alex Smith is competent.
Yeah.
No one's really talking about this. He has dramatically worse in Washington than he was in Kansas City under Andy Reid.
Because he doesn't have his quarterback whisperer.
Yeah. No, I've been saying it for years.
Yeah.
Andy Reid, whoever his quarterback is going to be better because he's under Andy Reid.
Exactly. Look at McNabb. I mean, granted, he was at the end of his career, but to drop off that much.
Yeah. Yeah. And so Washington, people will say, well, look, they're 5-2 with Alex Smith. Like, Kirk Cousins who? It's like, no. They're 5-2 because their defense is tremendous.
Yes.
They've gotten some luck go their way in certain games. Alex Smith is still a comparable quarterback. I'm not saying that he's playing terrible, but he's dramatically dropped off from his time in Kansas City. Like, he is much worse. Like, he was definitely much better under Andy Reid.
Yes.
And then, obviously, we've seen what Reid's done with Mahomes.
Yeah,
so
and
I think that just speaks to Reid's
Yes.
quarterback, not only just quarterback ability, but just head coaching ability.
Yeah, and I really don't think Reid gets enough credit. I think he's one of the – I mean, obviously I have him at number 2. But he is such a good coach. He's a player's coach, but yet they know to not cross that line. Because if they do, then they're going to disappoint the big guy. And if you disappoint the big guy in KC, well, your time is essentially up. If you haven't earned that right to get a few overlooks. But anyway, but Andy Reid, such a good coach. He's at the top of his game right now with all the weapons he has in Kansas City. They're doing great things. And the number 1, obviously, I don't think you can really make an argument for anybody other than Bill Belichick. More Super Bowl appearances and wins than any other head coach in history. And the guy just does it over and over and over and over and over. It doesn't really matter who the team is other than Tom Brady. They're going to win that division, and Bill Belichick has proven that he is probably the greatest NFL coach at this point to ever stay on the sidelines.
Yeah. Not much of an argument, I think. So, my 5-1 is similar to yours, so I'll break it down. I won't take too much time on it, but at 5, I actually have Pete Carroll, who you had earlier in your list. I have Carroll at 5, almost more so. I think I moved him up higher, more so because of how this season's gone, seeing how much. Not necessarily turmoil the organization's gone through, but just seeing how much turnover with the defense just really completely changing face. Legion of Boom being gone. Obviously, we saw Earl Thomas get injured early in the year, but even before that, all the contract holdouts on the offense, they really didn't change much on the offensive line. You went into the season with all these question marks. I personally had the Seahawks as one of the bottom feeders in the NFL. And yes, it's still, we're at the halfway point, and now they're 4-4, so they're a 500 team. But I think that just proves his coaching ability, the fact that he's been able to get that team to rise to the occasion. They started 0-2, losing in Denver, in Chicago. A lot of teams were writing them off, or a lot of people were writing them off as a team, and now they stormed back. They were 4-3, and then they lost last week in a tough, close game to the Los Angeles Chargers, who are just a more superior team in my opinion. So it wasn't even a bad loss. But Yeah, Pete Carroll to me, I think has proven through his career, at least in Seattle, and then definitely just in this short season so far, that he is a very, very instrumental coach and is worthy of the top 10. My number 4, you actually didn't have him, John Harbaugh.
Yeah, no.
I
I don't really get it.
Yeah, see, I can see the discrepancies on both sides. I personally think he's a phenomenal coach just because of one, we don't know what goes on in the back room. We really don't. Maybe he's instrumental in this. Maybe it's management. We don't know. But he's had to have Joe Flacco as his quarterback so he's been a coach for 10 years. Flacco's been his quarterback for what? 8 of those years? 9 of those years?
Oh, most of them. Yeah.
Almost all of them.
Yeah.
Won a Super Bowl with him. Been competitive almost every year. I think we were talking earlier about Tomlin maybe won a division. If not, they've won a lot of wild cards.
Mm-hmm.
Continuously puts a tremendous defense out on the field. And he's one of the first kind of coaches that has come from that special teams rank and taken the head coaching role and really been instrumental and won a Super Bowl. And same thing, we talk about it with all these guys, that he's a player's coach, but also where the law is laid down. Like, he's not going to get walked over. I kind of alluded to this when we were doing our prep work, but there's been talks that depending how the season goes, the Ravens might move on from him. He would.
And that's on them. I don't really understand why they would want to change. I don't get it. I don't know what he's,
Yeah.
I don't see it. I don't think they should let him go. But if they do, and the Broncos hire him, great for them because that's a good hire. That's a hell of a hire.
Hell of a hire. It's one of those situations where the Ravens now, they started off the season pretty well. What are they? 4-5 right now?
4-5 or 5-4. Did they win last week?
They lost.
And they're 4-5.
They're 4-5.
They went in 4-4.
Okay, so they're 4-5. Their losses, like a lot of people, like when they see a loss, they immediately just attribute the loss to the coach.
Sure, which is unfortunate.
Which I mean, there's some validity to every now and then, but a lot of it, you just have to look at, the players have to perform sometimes. As a coach, your job is to put your players in the best situation to win.
Mm-hmm.
But then the players are the ones on the field playing. It's kind of like just with any job. Like when you have a boss, they need to give you a situation where you can, if you're a salesperson, okay, I'm going to give you the platform you need to sell. But you have to sell. If you don't sell, that's on you.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sorry.
Exactly. Yeah.
Whereas in the NFL and just sports in general, it's the one job or the one career kind of where the players can underperform and it falls on the coach and they end up losing their job.
To an extent, I agree with you, but to another, if you're not in it, all depends on how much you're actually watching the game.
Mm-hmm.
If you're just looking at strictly wins and losses, it's not telling the whole story.
Yeah, you got to break the film down.
Exactly. If you look at, are there situations where players are not showing up? Drop passes, fumbles, misreads. If the coach penalties, exactly. If the coach is putting them in situations where they should be succeeding and the opportunities are there, but the players just aren't living up to those opportunities, then yes, get a new roster, draft some new guys, trade for some guys, sign some free agents. Yeah, that's obviously a roster issue.
Yeah.
But if you look at a team that consistently just underwhelms and doesn't perform or seems out of place, that's on the coach.
Yeah.
So for guys who actually pay attention and know what to look for, I like to think we're two of those guys.
Mm-hmm.
You can tell if the issue is with the coach or if the GM just needs to go in there and get a new roster, or if the issue is with the GM themselves.
Yeah.
Harbaugh, I feel like he's a good coach. He's really the roster that he's used to having. He had Ray Lewis for a long time, but he's never really had elite players.
Yeah.
He's never had an elite receiver, an elite running back, an elite quarterback. He's never had, other than Lewis. I guess Terrell Suggs has been elite, Ed Reed. But, yeah, I agree. I didn't have him on my list, but you make a very compelling argument. Harbaugh's a good coach.
Yeah, he's had an elite defense. We'll go with that. Always had an elite defense.
Yeah.
Offense though is not. I think they've done bad in the draft in the offense, and a lot of that.
Mm-hmm.
I think Ozzie Newsome a lot of times gets, and this is not Ozzie Newsome will go down as one of the better GMs I think in all time, and I think
Probably.
Deservedly so.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like he's had a lot of misses. I mean this year's draft, which is his last draft, and everyone was praising. Oh, he took Lamar Jackson in the first round, Hayden Hurst in the first round, and then took Mark Andrews. He took 2 tight ends and a quarterback that they're using as a gimmicky wildcat, whatever you want to call it. Like they're not even using him in a quarterback situation. In their first preseason game, he didn't even dress.
Right.
Because he wasn't the best quarterback, even the 4th best quarterback on the roster, and yet he's getting praise for taking him in the end of the first round and then taking 2 tight ends. That's not on Harbaugh. That's management really not setting him up to be successful, and yet he's still put together. So, yeah, again, we're kind of going down, but I love John Harbaugh. I think he's a good coach. 10 years in the league, always competitive. Yeah, if they let him go, that's a slam dunk for the Broncos if they can get him. If they can, I'm sure any other team out there that needs a coach will be pining after him. I'm sure.
Well, but out of all the teams that are potentially looking for a new head coach in 2019, Denver by far has the best roster.
Yeah, I would argue Cleveland's up there too, though. As weird as that sounds.
Very, very true.
I would argue Cleveland.
Very
I mean,
true.
Bruce Arians even on his telecast came out and said, if I was going to go back in coaching, Cleveland's the game I would go to.
Yeah, he's the only team that could pull him out of retirement.
Yeah.
That's very true. Yeah.
So
I don't think they let him go. I think that'd be a terrible move, but
yeah.
You never know. NFL's a crazy business.
Yeah, and I think the reason, kind of as we alluded to, the fact that this is Ozzie Newsome's last season, maybe the new GM and new management wants to
a little bit more
do a new direction.
Yeah.
Maybe they're just like, you know what, we're a new GM. We just want to make this is our thing. He's been here 10 years. Let's start fresh. So
yeah, maybe.
Hey.
I think it'd be stupid, but maybe.
Broncos fans, fingers crossed. We hope that.
Yeah.
My 3 through 1 are exact same as yours, so I won't take too much time on him. Sean Payton, number 3, 12 years with the Saints. Him and Drew Brees will go down as one of the greatest pairings of all time. Andy Reid, my number 2. He's a distant number 2 to number 1 strictly because of playoff record.
Sure, of course.
If not, it'd be 1A and 1-2. He's by far close to the best, if not the best, regular season head coach.
Oh yeah,
The things he do in the regular season is unbelievable. Like his phenomenal regular season head coach. He's kind of like the Peyton Manning of head coaches. Like just does everything right in the regular season, and then when playoffs roll around, it's just
something goes wrong.
Something goes wrong.
And I'm knowing you probably have this point on your list, but I'm going to steal it. And we've talked about it before. So, but coaching trees. If you look at Reed's coaching tree versus Belichick's, Reed's is much more fruitful than Belichick's.
Yeah. Well, you said, and yes, this was one of my talking points, is the fact that you talk about leaders of men, and not saying Belichick isn't, who is my number 1. Spoiler alert. But yeah, Reed's coaching tree is just unbelievable. The guys that he's brought up, trained, and have been successful, and yet Belichick has literally not a single one that has gone on to success.
No, not yet, and I don't see Patricia doing it.
Yeah. I mean, that same thing. Detroit has a decent roster. They haven't really been successful with Patricia. Maybe they will. We don't know.
And they're
super young.
They're not in the toughest division. I mean, Packers are good, Vikings are good, but their records aren't mind-blowing.
Yeah.
And Bears are the same boat. You know, they're good.
Bears are in first, technically.
They are.
Yeah.
And I'm a huge Bear fan this year for some reason, but
Yeah.
I love the Bears roster. But anyway, yeah, there's no reason for Detroit not to be in that race.
Yeah.
There's just not.
No, I agree with you 100%. So, but yeah, Reed, his coach. I think what's been so fun about this year, which makes me even rank him even higher based on this year, is just almost how he's changed his coaching a little bit. There was a, I can't remember if a telecaster said it or if I just noticed it. I don't want to take credit from someone if they did say it, so I apologize if someone said it. But I feel like in the past, he's been the head coach. And
Are we talking about Reed?
Reed. Talking about Reed still.
Yeah.
He's been the head coach, and like when Alex Smith in the past would come off, he'd sit down on the bench, and like you always see is the quarterback coach, the offensive coordinator sitting on the bench next to them, going over they're on the Microsoft Surface, going over the plays and the playbook, and the head coach is still, he's at the helm. He's manning the helm. This year's different. Andy Reid's the one sitting down, going over plays with Mahomes, talking about different play calls, talking about different reads and stuff like this. And I think I don't know if he's realized that, you know what, how special a kid Mahomes is, and he wants to make sure that he is the influence on him and not anyone else, or if he's just changed his way and saying, you know what, I've been doing this for 25 years and I need to just be more hands-on. I don't know. But I think that alone, I think I've really enjoyed seeing, and has even more so. He was already a Hall of Fame, first ballot Hall of Fame head coach, and now he's even more so jumping that echelon just from this season alone, seeing what they've been doing.
Yeah, and I completely agree with you. And I do have my own theory about why Reid has been noticeably more connected hands-on with Mahomes. Yes. And my theory is Doug Peterson, former quarterback, he can relate, you know. Yeah. So Reid didn't really have to step in. Peterson played that role. He's gone. He went on to Philadelphia. Yeah. Nagy, former quarterback for Delaware, he can relate. He played quarterback. He was there. He knows. So Reid had that trusted person to go to. Now he has Bieniemy, former running back. Yeah. You know, running backs coach. Can't really relate to a quarterback. And I can't. I know they had Jim Zorn on the staff. I don't know if Zorn is still there or not. I'm assuming he's not. Childress is gone. So Reid is kind of that veteran, like, okay, I can't relate personally, but I've been around long enough to where I'm the best person for this kid. Yeah. So I think that's the main difference, is to where Reid just doesn't feel comfortable delegating that responsibility to grooming this young man other than himself. When in the past he's had Nagy, he's had Peterson, he's had Childress, he's had guys to where he could lean on for that job. But now there's just nobody that he trusts more than himself to do that. And I mean, I think that's why we're kind of seeing that more and more this year, because
and that's a tremendous point. And it's nothing against Eric Bieniemy, because I think he's one of the hot names right now in offensive coordinators. Yeah. But it's, do you really want a guy to play running back to mentor your quarterback? It's just
exactly.
It's X and O's. It's oranges and apples. It's
yeah. And he's a newer kid. He's not a rookie, but essentially he's kind of a rookie. So you need that. You need to make sure that he's getting the best lessons taught to him, and I think Reid's just the guy.
Do you know who the QB coach in KC is?
I don't. It used to be Jim Zorn.
Yeah.
Let me look that up real quick, because I don't think Zorn's there anymore.
Yeah. No, I'm curious who that is, but yeah. So Andy Reid, tremendous. Number one, Bill Belichick, like you mentioned. We really don't need to go over his resume. 23 years head coaching now in the NFL. Obviously, 16, 17, 18 of those have been with Tom Brady, so that obviously helps your resume. Yeah, not much of a better coach when you have 5 or 6 Super Bowl rings. The Patriot way. Yeah, I mean, there's not really much we need to say about him. It's hard to argue anyone could be even considered better than Belichick. Is he my favorite coach? No.
No, he's nobody's favorite coach. I don't even think he's a Patriots' favorite coach. Yeah. But you can't argue against what he's done.
Yeah.
You just simply can't.
The guy wins, knows how to win. So
here's a name, backtracking just a bit to what we just talked about, but here's a name you might remember, Mike Kafka.
Yeah.
He was promoted to quarterback coach this year. So this is his first year as quarterback coach for Kansas City. He was the offensive quality control coach in 2017, and he was a grad assistant for Northwestern in 2016. So this is his third year of coaching, and he's a quarterback's coach in the NFL.
Wow.
Maybe a name to look at in about 5 years.
Yeah, it's a name to follow. That's kind of a Sean McVay kind of transition, that's super quick. That's
that's a pretty quick meteoric rise.
Yeah, and being under an Andy Reid tree.
He's going to learn a lot.
Say that name again one more time.
Mike Kafka, Kafka.
Mike Kafka. So there you go. That's a good name to remember.
Yes, it is. That is a good name.
That could be literally in 3 or 4 years. We could see. Not saying I don't want to compare to Sean McVay what he's done, but that could be a similar situation of a guy that gets hired as a coach, and you're like, who? And then you see his first year, and you're like, okay, yeah, this guy knows his stuff.
Yeah, and exactly what we were talking about earlier, to where the backups are the best coaches. Kafka, he was never the starter, if I remember, unless somebody got hurt. But perfect example of a guy that learned on the sideline.
Yep. He was a lifer clipboard guy.
Yep, exactly.
Lifer clipboard. So that's a beautiful transition into our next segment, which we're just going to talk about our favorite, not necessarily who we've heard from sources or who we've talked to or anything like that, but our favorite future potential NFL coaches. So guys in the college ranks or coordinators that we think would do a great job. As undoubtedly, there's going to be 4 to 6 firings this offseason, I'm sure. We've already seen one. I think Broncos is probably pretty inevitable unless they win like 9 straight. I mean, if they finish 10-6, yeah, Joseph is keeping his job 100%.
They're not going.
But they're not going to finish 10-6. They still got to play the Chargers twice. They still have a lot of tough games. I think the Buccaneers is another job potentially. Dirk Cutter could get fired.
Yeah. Oh, he probably should.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Dallas is a job that we say it every year. Everyone does, but he should have been fired probably years ago, Jason Garrett. But will he? I don't know. But probably a job potentially.
I don't think he will, but potentially. Yeah.
Potentially. So that's 3.
Cleveland. Cleveland.
Cleveland's open. Oh, yeah. I was not including them. But, yeah, so that's 4 total with Cleveland.
Do the Giants take a change in direction? I mean,
no.
You think
Shermer's
they stick with
safe
him
at least,
year 2?
He's safe at least. But if like we mentioned earlier, if Baltimore moves on from John Harbaugh, that's 5.
Yes.
The Jets maybe Todd Bowles.
I would give that another year. Rookie quarterback.
I'm not saying I wouldn't, but I think his seat's a little warm.
Maybe I think they give him another year though.
Yeah.
I don't think they move on. Possibly Miami.
Yeah, with Adam Gase.
Yeah.
I could see that. He's kind of been dealt a bad lot considering his quarterback's an injury all the time. But there's been dissension in the locker room with Devontae Parker. We've seen it. They traded Jarvis Landry because he didn't get along there. So, that could be another one. But for sure, okay, so we at least said 4 for sure's, potentially 5 or 6. So,
yeah.
Did you make a specific order of your guys, or do you want to just talk about?
My number 1 is probably the most
head and
likely,
shoulders above.
Yeah, most likely to get an NFL head coaching job realistically. Plus, I think he's really good. And then 2 through 4 are guys that might get a look, but are they potentially really going to be in the NFL next year? I really doubt it.
Okay.
But number 1, maybe.
All right. Well, give me your 5 through 2 then.
Okay. So 5 through 2. Number 5, I have Dabo Swinney. I think he's a fantastic head coach. Definitely a player's coach. For those of you who don't know, he's the head coach of the Clemson Tigers from the college ranks. And spoiler alert, 5 through 2, all college coaches. All
right, so you like staying out of them coordinators.
I do. And the fact that I think it's more because we went with who our favorites are, more so realistic choices.
Yeah.
I think 5 through 2 on my list, some of the best coaches in the country, regardless of league. I think these guys are just hands down really good at coaching football.
Oh, yeah. And I want to reiterate, again, I know I just said it, but this is who we like to be coaches, not who we think or who we've heard from sources are going to be coaches. So I don't want anyone listening thinking like, oh, Coach in the Don said this guy. It's like, no, this is just who we – if we were GMs, if I was a GM of a team right now with a need of a coach, this is who we would go after.
Exactly. That's the perfect way to put it. If I was a GM, this is who I'd want.
Yeah.
So Dabo Swinney, number 5.
Slam dunk.
Number 4, Nick Saban. Obviously.
Yeah.
Why not? I think he's better fit for coaching or for college coaching. He's a great recruiter. Clearly, they're always in the top 3 of recruiting classes.
Yeah, and that's why I left Dabo Swinney and Saban off my list, just because I think they're more fit for college.
I do too. I don't think they'd be successful in the NFL, but if I was leading a team, I'm taking a look at them because those guys, they're
doing something right.
They are, because their programs have been 2 of the best in the past 5-10 years.
Yeah.
Number 3, David Shaw. Same thing, just consistency. Stanford never has a top 10 recruiting class. Maybe not even top 20. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I have to do my research on that. But what he does consistently, he runs a pro-style offense. His defense is always respectable. The guy just knows football. And to be in a position at Stanford to where you're kind of like the West Coast Ivy League, you're not going to get those blue chippers that want to come there simply because of the academic pressure. So you're not given the opportunities that some of the other top programs are given, but you are consistently in the run for your conference. At one point, you had a pretty good team with Andrew Luck. Of course, that was under Harbaugh, but Shaw was still around. But I love David Shaw. He's always there at the draft. He has a lot of NFL ties. He just seems to know the game of football. He's a calm, cool, and collected guy. But I really like David Shaw, and I really love what he does in Stanford.
Yeah, one thing I want to interject a little bit on
Yeah.
Stanford, because one thing that I don't think anyone realizes about just Stanford football in general, and this is what Jim Harbaugh started and David Shaw has continued to build. The fact that Stanford is continually every year ranked in the top 25, continually competitive, continually play a very tough out-of-conference schedule, and continually play very well in the Pac-12.
Yeah.
That would be the same as Harvard, Yale, Dartmouth. Stanford is literally the Ivy League of the West Coast.
Yeah.
It is considered by many a asterisk to the Ivy League. A lot of people, when you say what's the Ivy League, it's the 6 schools out east,
Right.
and they include Stanford in there as the West Coast version of the Ivy League.
Yep.
So the fact that you have an quote-unquote Ivy League school that is continually top 25, competing for the Pac-12 championship, playing in the Rose Bowl, having unbelievable NFL draft picks, Andrew Luck, Christian McCaffrey, we can go down the list, offensive
Zach
linemen.
Ertz.
Yeah, tons of guys, different guys.
Yep.
Jack Doyle.
DeCastro.
Yeah, lots of different players.
Goes on and on and on.
Yeah. And yet they're that academic of a school.
Yep.
And so your recruiting pool is not only cut in half, not only cut in a quarter, probably cut in like 1/32nd.
Yeah.
Because you're recruiting to a elite echelon of student athletes.
Yes, a very specific group of men.
Yeah. So you have to have a coach of high caliber to be able to make those players perform at their highest ability. And obviously a lot of those guys are very talented because we've seen them go into the NFL and be successful. So obviously I'm not saying David Shaw is just putting powder dust in some of these guys and then all of a sudden they're like, but the fact that he's able to coach them and bring the best out of these guys to make them that value, that's impressive.
Yes.
So that's all I wanted to say about that.
Yeah, well said.
Yeah.
Well said. And then my number 2, Chris Peterson, Washington. To me, he deserves to be in the conversation with every single guy we just talked about, Sweeney, Saban, and Shaw. Chris Peterson knows how to coach football. He's led a bunch of
Love Chris Peterson.
right, very good coach. He's led a bunch of Washington teams to a lot of success.
Yeah. Do you remember where he was before Washington?
Boise State, correct?
Yeah, that's right. Boise State.
He was behind that Statue of Liberty play, right?
Yep, he was the head coach. It was Dan Hawkins. I want to say his name right. I believe it's Dan Hawkins. It's either Dan or Don. I think it's Dan. Dan Hawkins was the coach of Boise State as he kind of built that program up, and then he left and went to CU, and Chris Peterson took over as the coach, and he brought – so the program was like kind of built, and then Peterson took them to the next level. And so that's when they beat Oklahoma in the Fiesta Bowl and really put them – they were like already rising, and people were like, oh, cool, they have a blue field, and they're like successful and all this. And all of a sudden Peterson took them to that next level, won the Fiesta Bowl against Oklahoma with the Statue of Liberty play, beautiful, and then he got the job at Washington, and Washington's been – I mean, before Peterson got there, Washington was not a good football program.
No, they weren't. They weren't what they are now. No. Peterson, just like he did with Boise, took them to that next level.
Yeah.
Which, to me, if you can continually take programs at the college level to the next level, then why can't you take yourself to the next level?
Which is, and I don't want to like harp on this, but before Peterson, the head coach of Washington was Steve Sarkisian.
And he didn't last very long. And he's in the NFL.
Well, he did good things at Washington.
Right.
He kind of rebuilt that because before him, if I'm not mistaken, it was a Rick Neuheisel. No, Rick Neuheisel, and then someone was in between. Someone was in between.
Was Neuheisel at Washington? I know he's at UCLA.
He was, I believe, he's at Washington before UCLA. Because
Okay.
he went from Colorado, where he was like good, and there was the whole scandal, like the rape scandal, the horrible stuff going on. He got fired, and then I believe he got hired. Hopefully you're looking this up. I'll kind of drag this on. I believe then after that he got hired at Washington.
Yes.
Did really nothing there, and then got hired at UCLA just because he was alumni. Essentially, did nothing there. Like he's clearly not that good of a coach.
Right. Yeah. So Yeah, just based on his history, he's not that good of a coach.
No.
So he was with UCLA, started as a grad assistant in '86, went to quarterbacks coach and then wide receivers coach. Went to Colorado in '94 as an offensive coordinator. Was their head coach in '95 to '98. Head coach at Washington '99 to '02. After that, he was a high school volunteer for a year, and then got on as a quarterbacks coach with the Ravens. Then he was the offensive coordinator with the Ravens in '07. UCLA head coach for '08 to '11, and now he's now the Arizona Hot Shots head coach. And they are a part of the coveted Alliance of American Football.
Okay.
Apparently, their inaugural season is happening.
Coveted,
soon.
like coveted's in their title, or you threw in coveted?
I threw in that as an
That's a nice
ironic
adjective.
little.
That's a nice adjective.
Yeah, but here's something. Hugh Freeze, remember that name?
I do.
He's their offensive coordinator.
That is a coveted league then.
Yeah.
Look at that. Look at that.
Arizona Hot Shots, a part of the Alliance of American Football.
Wow. So, there you go. Well, anyway, the reason why we even brought him up, so he went to Washington.
Oh my God, rabbit hole.
Yeah.
I love it.
No, it's beautiful. But so he went to Washington, obviously did nothing there.
Did nothing there.
Steve Sarkisian came in. I think he probably started turning things in the right direction. I'm not a huge Sarkisian fan, but he's a decent coach. Then he got hired. He got plucked away from USC, which was dumb of USC to hire him in the first place. But that gave Washington the beautiful opportunity to say, oh, our coach, we didn't fire him. Someone else took him, and yet we were going to upgrade that coach with Chris Peterson.
Pretty rare.
And he came in and they are the cream of the crop in the Pac-12.
Oh, they still
When was
are.
the last time the Pac-12 was led by Washington?
It was a long.
It's been a long time. I believe Warren Moon, maybe, when he played there.
Probably. Yeah.
Which was in what? Late
That
70s, early 80s?
That had to be in 70s, probably 80s, because he didn't come on the scene in the NFL till.
Yeah, he went from University of Washington to the Canadian Football League.
Right.
But that was, it was around, I just know it was around Elway's time, which was
Right.
83 draft. So it's probably
Yeah.
around that early 80 time period. But either way, Washington hasn't been relevant
he was the
until
quarterback
Peterson.
he was the quarterback of the Oilers, so that was a long time ago.
Yeah, and that was, in the 87, 88 era. So,
Yeah.
so Chris Peterson,
Chris Peterson.
great coach.
Back to the
That's all we're
original.
trying to say.
Chris Peterson is a good coach, and if I was a GM, he would be very high on my short list of
Yes.
coaches to lead my team.
Great coach.
Yep.
So, okay, so that's your 5 through 2. So
Yep.
you have your one pending.
One pending. Yep.
So, I don't have a single one of those people on mine, which is
Oh
great.
my God, that's amazing.
Which is great.
That's amazing. What if we have number one same though? That'd be crazy.
I know. That would be funny. I just want to say it's the only reason I left Peterson and Shaw off my list is because I don't think they're going to leave college.
I don't either.
I love them both.
No, I think all four of those guys I mentioned are staying in
Yeah.
college.
So
but I love them.
I did my list just like we said. This is who we think would be good coaches. Who I agree with all of my lists, but I also think they have a chance.
Okay.
Whereas, no offense, I don't think any of those guys.
I don't either.
Yeah.
I don't think they're leaving.
So
I don't
so
either.
that's why I didn't include them. Because
Yeah.
I at least chose guys I think that are potentially guys I like a lot and all potentially going to go.
Now, see, if we were doing that, if I would have had a different list, but I just went strictly off of who I like.
Oh, I thought I precluded to that. Like, this is
That-
your list, but it's guys you think should be coaches and
Well, I think-
potentially will be coaches. Maybe I didn't.
Okay, that's fine.
Accentuate
I
that
think
enough. I
to me, I
apologize.
think they should be, but I don't think
Okay,
they will be.
we'll call this our list because you're going to agree with me.
I-
You're going to agree with me on every one of these.
Okay, I'm sure I will.
All right, I did 6. So number 6, Dave Tube, Chief Special Teams Coach. He's been
I'm gonna go ahead and correct you. It's Dave Tobe.
Dave Tube. Excuse me.
You're fine.
Did I say Tube?
You said Tube.
Okay, I definitely meant Tube. I know how his name's pronounced. That's my fault. I was talking a lot.
I get you.
I was getting fired up.
Dude. When
Yeah.
when I listen back to these, I cringe at how much we mess up. But it's just because it's conversational, man.
Yeah.
We just talk.
Yeah, Dave Tobe. Thank you. Correct me all the time. Just like it's Tyrod, not Tyrod. I hate how guys on freaking CBS and NFL Fox still
Tyrod
say
Taylor.
Tyrod. It's like it's.
Tyrod.
He clearly said it's Tyrod on Hard Knocks. Come on.
Yep.
All right, so Dave Tobe, Chief Special Teams Coach. He's been a name he comes up every year. He's going to be the next John Harbaugh. He's going to get a head coaching job this year. I guarantee it. Men's Warehouse, I guarantee it. He's going to get a head coaching job this offseason. So what team it'll be, I don't know. He's going to get one. Number 5. This is a name so here's one of the names I threw in here that literally probably no one is talking about, but I want to break down why he should be a candidate, but he probably won't even be discussed. Pete Carmichael. Do you know who that is?
Pete Carmichael. I'm not going to lie to you. No idea.
So he is the offensive coordinator for the New Orleans Saints.
Okay.
He's been the offensive coordinator for, I believe, 10-plus years. He's been in charge of Drew Brees that entire time. He's been a play caller a lot of it. Him and Sean Payton kind of share responsibilities in that realm. Sean Payton, I think, more so is the play caller. But they've ranked first in NFL yardage in 6 of the last 12 seasons. Someone like that's in charge of that offense, how is he not getting
That's true.
talked about more?
Very true.
I haven't heard his name come up, but hey, I'm throwing his name out there. I think his name should come up. Maybe his name's not coming up because maybe he doesn't want to. Maybe he's happy where he's at. I don't know. I don't know what his future goals are. He's not by any means an old coach. I believe he's in his early 50s, late 40s. So he's not like he's 70s and beyond where it's like, you know what, I'm happy where I'm at. I'm not trying to like really add more stress to my life.
He's not a Romeo Crennel.
Exactly. He has potential. So Pete Carmichael, Saints OC, been there 10 years. Obviously, we've seen what the Saints obviously can do. I could see him potentially being a name thrown in the pot. Number 4, I have Lincoln Riley. His name's been thrown around a lot. I just think he's kind of that fun offensive guru that, he coached Baker Mayfield. Now he's coaching their prolific offense we've seen down there. So he's a name he's getting thrown around. He's come out and said he likes being in Oklahoma, likes being in college, but he'd be stupid to not take offers.
And that was my biggest reason for leaving Riley off was because I just don't think I guess some reason I have all these guys, I don't think they'll leave. Same with Lincoln.
See, I see Lincoln leaving way more likely than any of the 4 you have, though.
I agree. I think out of the guys I have listed, yes, he is more likely to leave.
Let's be honest. He's saying that now because they're in the middle of their season. They're ranked, 6th overall?
Yeah,
Oklahoma is.
He's
not going to say, oh, yeah, I'm interested in the NFL.
They still have a very real opportunity to
at the playoff. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's got to be focused on that. But deep in his mind, he's like, after this year, let's say they make the playoff.
Mm-hmm.
Probably not going to beat Alabama. Probably not going to beat even Notre Dame.
If they make the playoff, they're the worst team in the playoff.
Yeah. Their defense is abysmal.
Yes.
Their offense is fantastic.
Yeah.
And that's what Lincoln Riley brings to the NFL game is that offensive mind like a Sean McVay.
Yep. If I had gone the way you had kind of gone to where it was kind of a mixture of coaching prowess and potential, I would have had Lincoln on my list. But the fact that I didn't, I think I think Sweeney, Saban, Shaw, and Peterson are all better coaches.
Agreed.
I left him off.
Agreed. Okay.
But
understandable.
I do think he has. We're going to see Lincoln Riley in the NFL before any of my 4.
Yeah, I think we'll. I wrestle with this because I hear his comments, but I think personally we'll see him in the NFL next year.
Very good chance.
I could see that.
It's a very good,
especially with his quarterback declaring to the MLB like he did.
Murray, yeah.
Murray's probably going to play with the. I think he's with the Athletics.
The A's, yeah.
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 So
he got drafted, and they gave him 1 year, so he's not going back to Oklahoma.
Yeah. So why would you return when you're losing your star quarterback?
Yeah.
When you have a chance to go be an NFL coach at, what is he, 35, 36?
He's a very young coach.
Yeah, he'd be the new Sean McVay kind of thing.
He would be.
With an offensive prowess.
He would be.
So
don't be surprised if Matt Campbell is the head coach of Oklahoma next year.
No, okay, well, I'm getting to him next, but thanks for
snap!
Preluding to that. So my number 3, Matt Campbell, Iowa State, head coach, Big 12 Coach of the Year in 2017. I do want to say this for the listeners out there. This is a guy, this name was not brought up. Not only was it not brought up often, I don't think it was brought up ever by analysts out there until, if you remember the Coach in the Dawn, if you follow the Coach in the Dawn, 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago, 5 weeks ago, around that
Something
time.
like that, yeah.
The coach right here, right across from me, Coach Telegraph, called out Matt Campbell as one of the top coaches in college football. The only thing he was wrong about, well, not even wrong about, could be different, but he said he will be the next head coach of USC. Basically meaning a huge upgrade. And now all of a sudden his name is in every media circle there is about a top NFL coaching candidate. So, touche to you, Coach, for recognizing.
Well, thank you, sir.
Recognizing real. Recognizing a good coach when there is one.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
But, I mean, that's why I have him on this list. He's a great coach.
He is a very good coach. To do what he does at Iowa State, come on.
Let's be real. It's Iowa State. Iowa State.
They're not known for athletics, let alone known for football.
Let alone known for just like a collegiate program, period. I mean, it's
exactly.
Iowa State Cyclones. That's nothing against the school. That probably sounded really bad the way I said it. It's a great school. Nothing against that.
No, Iowa State's a very good school.
Great school, college town. But they're not known for their collegiate prowess by any means in the realm of sports.
No.
And Matt Campbell came there. I believe he came there from Tulane.
I think you're right.
I think he coached at Bowling Green.
Sounds right.
Also coached at Tulane.
I think I'm wrong, but for some reason I have in my head he used to be a D2 coach, but I might be wrong.
He may have been in the beginning of his career. He's a young guy. He's only like 39 years old.
Mm-hmm.
But he's done great things there. They've a lot of upsets over there. Highest winning percentage they've had in years since he's been there, or because he's been there. So I like him a lot. I think he's a definitely potential head coach in the NFL. We'll see.
Yeah, and just before we move on, he was at Bowling Green as a grad assistant, and then he was the offensive coordinator of Mountain Union, who's D3, for 2 years. And then he went back to Bowling Green, and then he went to Toledo, and now he's at Iowa State.
There you go. Did I say Toledo or say Tulane?
I don't remember.
Okay.
I think you said Tulane, but
I think
Toledo.
I did. I meant Toledo. I meant Kareem Hunt, where he went.
Toledo.
Yeah.
Ohio.
Yeah,
Midwest.
Tulane's in New Orleans. I meant Toledo.
Yeah.
So, okay, so my number 2, this is a guy I've been preaching about forever. I'm going to just keep hammering it home. It's probably not going to come to fruition. Jim Bob Cooter. I love him. I don't know why I love him. Maybe it's the name just freaking puts blinders on me.
And that's why I hate him.
I love him for that.
Because of the name.
JBC, son. Jim Bob Cooter.
Jesus.
I don't know. I think he's done good things for the offense.
But what, though? What has he done? He has the number 1 overall pick at quarterback, and how many division titles do they have?
Yeah, I mean, they don't have any.
I just, if he's that good, why aren't the Lions better? And why hadn't he? I don't know. I just, because I thought about him. I thought about him long and hard. But what has he done to prove that he's actually that good of a coach?
Yeah, no, I mean, I get the reservations with him, but you could say the same for any. I mean, Kyle Shanahan was the hottest thing since sliced bread when it comes to head coaches, and he's the one that decided in the Super Bowl to stop being aggressive and give up a 28-point lead to the New England Patriots. And
that's very true.
That was on him.
That's very true, but that's one game.
Yeah.
You know, to me, there's got to be a reason why Cooter. Why hadn't he gotten a chance yet? There's a reason, because I don't know. To me, I don't know. I just don't see it. Nothing. I'm not saying he's not a good coach. Because granted, other than Stafford, what do the Lions have offensively? Not much.
Well, I think that's what helps his case.
Mm-hmm.
To me, anyway, and this is why I like him, is for years it was Stafford, on the arm of Stafford.
Yeah.
And Stafford's a good quarterback. He was a first overall quarterback, but Stafford's not. He's not a top.
He's not in that tier.
No, he's very good.
He is very good.
I hate saying numbers out without actually breaking it down, but he's on that border of top 10. That border.
He is. He unless you have like a legit franchise quarterback, you want him on your team.
Oh, for sure. I would love.
Unless
if Stafford was on the Broncos, I would love it.
Exactly. Unless you're like the Packers, Broncos, Chiefs. I don't know. There's like 5 teams that wouldn't want Stafford over who they currently have.
Yeah.
So I get it.
Yeah. So he's on that top 10, top 15 tier.
I would feel very comfortable putting him in the top 15.
But for years after Calvin Johnson, which Jim Bob Cooter was not the coordinator when Johnson was there, their number 1 receiver was Golden Tate.
Yeah, which
who is a good receiver, but as your number one option, and that's it.
Mm-hmm.
And then they got Marvin Jones Jr., who
Right.
is a viable deep threat, but
And
that's your it.
And
And
just,
in running backs, they had Amir Abdullah
and Zinner.
and Theo Riddick and
And-
Zinner.
Yeah. Very
And
true.
finally this year, they've gotten Kerryon Johnson, who there's been, people have criticized Jim Bob Cooter because of underutilizing him, but I think in reality, him as a coordinator is like, okay, this is my bell cow future.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to give this guy the rock 30 times a game
Sure.
his rookie year. When he didn't at Auburn, it was a two running back system. Kerryon Johnson
Yep.
is a phenomenal running back, but he was not getting 30 carries a game.
No.
It was a two running back system where they were cycling in and out. He was getting 15 carries a game.
Yeah, Pet
So, I
Wayne
mean,
Johnson, yeah.
Yeah, so he's thinking that as a coordinator, like, okay, this is my guy for the future. I'm not going to
Mm-hmm.
burn him out 8 games for the year, 9 games for the year. So people can criticize him all you want, but that's what he's thinking. They traded Golden Tate. Was that Jim Bob Cooter's decision? I don't know, but even still, he's not an elite. He's not an OBJ. He's not a Julio Jones. He's not one of these elite receivers.
Mm-hmm. No.
I
by
just
far,
think
yeah.
I just think for what he's had, he's done good things in that offense. Like, if you think of the Detroit Lions, their only bright spot has been the offense. That's it.
Very true.
In the last 5 years, he's been coordinator for the last 3 years, I believe, and that's been the lone bright spot. So
That's very true. Was it now? Remind me, and I have faith that you'll know this. There was a point in time where he was a pretty hot name for a head coaching job, but it just never happened.
Jim
right?
Bob Cooter.
Yeah.
You say that, and I feel like when he first got promoted, it kind of was.
But
It was one of those like flash of pan things. Like,
Yeah.
he got promoted. The offense like all of a sudden went like 180 degrees. Like it was just stale, terrible. He got promoted and it like turned into this like prolific offense. And so immediately everyone was like, "That's your next head coach."
But kind of died out.
And yeah, not even just died out, but it's I think teams said, "Okay, this guy's been a coordinator for 6 games. Let's pump the brakes a little bit." But since those 6 games, they've still been a proficient offense,
Sure,
if you
but-
will.
God, I can't bring myself to say Coach Cooter though.
It's tough to
That's a rough go.
yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
Like Coach JB.
It's well,
Hey,
yeah.
JB.
It's got
You know, I don't want to
Yeah.
go to be like, hey, someone, hey, Coach Cooter. Never mind. I'll catch
like
you later.
can you imagine the players like in Broncos like, oh yeah, Coach Joseph or VJ, and they're just like, yeah, Coach Cooter did this.
And you can't even shorten it. Like you can't say Coach Coot. Like
No.
that
Coach-
makes it, that's so much worse.
Yeah. And it's not like you can't call him by his first name, Jim Bob.
Yeah, right.
That's even worse.
Poor guy. That's why he hadn't gotten a job because
Yeah.
of his name.
Just the name. And
Jim.
and almost his look almost like fits that name.
Poor bastard.
But his mind, I think his offensive mind
Might
could be something.
might help out.
Could be something. So yes. So that's my I gave you 6 through 2. So who's your number 1?
My number 1 is actually someone on your list.
Okay.
Dave Tobe.
Dave Tobe, your number 1?
Dave Tobe, my number 1. I'm shocked he didn't get a job last year.
I am too.
I really thought that he was going to be the next coach of the Lions, and all of a sudden, Patricia comes in, and then I
too.
thought he had when
With the
McDaniel,
Colts, yeah.
when McDaniel fell through, I thought, well, Tobe, definitely Tobe.
Yeah.
Nope. I'm thrilled that he's still with the Chiefs because I think he's a great coach. He's a very good coach.
Yeah.
Realistically, this is out of my entire list. I think he is the one that actually will probably be a head coach next year.
He will be 100%.
Yeah.
I'm confident saying 100% he will be a head coach next year.
Yeah. Surprisingly, the fact that he didn't get the Bears job because he has ties to the Bears, right? Wasn't he the specialty teams coordinator with Hester?
You might be right.
I feel like he was.
You might be right, yeah.
I might be wrong, but I feel like there's some connection with him and the Bears, and when they didn't hire him, it's like, okay. But Nagy doesn't surprise me either because I remember talking about him last year. But yeah, Dave Tobe, out of my list, I think he is the most actually realistic, and he's a good coach to actually have an NFL head coaching job next year. Possibly Patriots, possibly or Patriots. I'm sorry.
Well, possibly,
Buccaneers.
Belichick keeps saying he kind of might want to move on, but
any of the vacancies, possibly if it's not that far fetched for Tobe to end up in Cleveland with the ties he has to Dorsey.
yeah,
I think that'd be good. I think that'd be a good fit, Dave. That might be the perfect coach they need.
Yeah.
He's not a big name guy, but he's a guy that's going to get the job done. And for Cleveland, you need a guy who's going to get the job done.
Yeah.
And Tobe's that guy. So, Dave Tobe in Cleveland, I would be thrilled to death if I was a Browns fan and they announced that Dave Tobe is going to be the next head coach of the Cleveland Browns.
Yeah. So my number one potential head coach and my actual number one choice for the Cleveland Browns is John DeFilippo.
Oh,
coordinator for the Vikings.
Vikings, yes.
Yeah. And
defensive coordinator, right?
offensive coordinator.
Okay. Yes. Yeah. Offensive.
He
You're right.
He was the QB coach last year for the Eagles.
Yep.
Here's why, though. I like him with the Browns. One, he's a great offensive mind, being with the Eagles last year, doing what they did, being now with the Vikings, seeing what they're doing. In 2015 or 2016, he was actually the offensive coordinator with the Cleveland Browns. It was either the year before he got there, or it was his first year, and then he either moved on or I don't know the exact separation issue from him with Cleveland, but I would not be shocked to see him go back there, and especially with their number one priority right now is Baker Mayfield. They've been needing a guy to groom a quarterback for 3 decades.
Yeah. A long time.
If not more.
Long time.
Yeah.
Since Bernie Kosar.
Yeah. And DeFilippo, he's been with a couple good ones. He's been with, Carson Wentz. Now he's with Kirk Cousins. He was with Derek Carr back when Derek Carr had one of his greatest seasons ever. Derek Carr had his greatest season ever, one of his greatest seasons ever for an Oakland Raider quarterback, period. Back in, I think, 2014 when DeFilippo was there, when he was the quarterback's coach there. So, to me, that is a slam dunk for the Browns. Like, let's bring in a guy that knows quarterbacks, knows offense, obviously has climbed his way through the ranks, has been very successful, and we have a soon-to-be second-year quarterback. Yeah, makes sense to me.
So, here's a question.
Yeah.
If you're the Browns and Lincoln Riley is legitimately interested in the job, you go Cooter?
Ooh.
Or, I'm sorry, Filippo? Sorry.
Yeah.
Or Lincoln Riley, who has an actual rapport with Mayfield.
Connection with Mayfield. That, me personally, I would go Lincoln Riley.
Just because of the background and the history with Mayfield? Or
not even – okay, that obviously helps. The background with Mayfield helps. I think the fact that he's a new, fresh, young face, and we've seen what guys like Sean McVay has done helps. I think also the fact that he is a head coach at a Big 5 power school helps, where DeFilippo, I think, is a phenomenal coach, but he hasn't been a head coach per se. It's close, though. But, yeah, I think I would – if I had my choice as a GM and I had both those two options and it was basically like they want the same money, take your pick, I think I'd go Riley. It's tough.
It would be tough. If I was Cleveland, I'm sticking by my choice. I want Tobe just because he's proven it in the NFL. Lincoln Riley, how old is he? I haven't pulled up here. He has a great record.
I think he's like 37.
He is 35.
35.
He just turned 35 in October. Or, I'm sorry, September. To me, let's pump the brakes. Let's give him a little bit more time. If you're Cleveland, because let's face it, out of all the jobs that potentially could be there or that are there, Cleveland is probably the most coveted, which is really weird to say. But they have to make the right hire.
Yeah.
They have to. This is the best roster they've had in a long time. They pissed 3 years, essentially 3 years away with Hugh Jackson. You have to make the right hire if you're Cleveland. As much as the connection is attractive with Riley and Mayfield, I'm pumping the brakes. I think Dave Tobe, because You've learned from Reed.
Mm-hmm.
You have a lot of NFL experience, and that's what you want for Cleveland. And he has a connection with
Dorsey. Yeah.
To
Well,
me,
that's very true. Yeah.
to me, I think Toe makes the most sense, and I think that's best for your organization. I think NFL needs to pump the brakes on Riley. As attractive as he is, as like this up and comer, like we want to recreate what the Rams did with McVay. That was lightning in a bottle. It's not going to happen.
Yeah. I mean, he's like one of those once in a million kind of guys.
Exactly. Yeah, that just doesn't happen.
Yeah.
So I think people need to pump the brakes on Lincoln Riley. I think he's a very good coach, but I think he needs to prove himself a little bit more before he's thrusted into the NFL limelight.
Yeah.
I don't think he's there yet.
Well, and I agree with you, and I think I want to – for the Lincoln Riley, I like him in Cleveland. I don't like him anywhere else. Where else? For Broncos, I agree, yeah. I would want nothing to do with him. Nothing to do with him. I think he just fits – if I'm breaking it down, I like him in Cleveland because not just of the obviously the Baker Mayfield connection helps, but I think just that roster the way it is, I think he would fit in that roster. It's kind of a young, they have that mantra like, we've been losers for so long, and he would just be that young vocal point like, let's turn this around. I know Baker, blah blah blah, but I don't like him anywhere else yet.
I agree.
Someday I think he will. But yeah, yet like with the Broncos, with Tampa Bay, no. I think that'll be a disaster.
Yeah, if anywhere, Cleveland. But again, if I'm Cleveland, I need to take someone who's a bit more experienced for the NFL game. I don't think Lincoln needs to be in the NFL anywhere close to it in the next 5 years. Yeah,
I agree. So, well, there you have it. There's the top 5 potential NFL coaches according to the Coach in the Dawn.
Yes, sir.
Well, all right. Well, we're going to get into our NFL casting call.
I like it.
Kind of a fun segment we've done. I don't know. Do you want me to go? We're breaking down Anchorman.
We are breaking down Anchorman.
Yeah, one of my favorite.
Which is one of your favorite movies of all time.
It is one of my top 3 movies of all time, for sure. Okay, there you go. Yeah, I guess I'll.
Yeah, lead off.
I don't know. I like when you lead off. I like building off it.
You like? Okay, you want me to go my first? Because for those of you who don't know, our casting call, we go 4 the same cast, and then we have a 5th wild card, if you will. So would you like me to go my first 4 main cast, and then kind of break down what I did, and then you can go into your main 4?
Yeah, I think that'd be good. Yeah,
okay.
Give your 4. Let me digest it, and then I can break down.
Do you want me to go into like my full on breakdown, or just kind of give you the skeleton, and you kind of do with that what you will?
Okay, give me your. Okay, well, first of all, we should say this. So our 4 that we're both using for Anchorman, we're doing Ron Burgundy, obviously, Champ Kind, Brian Fontana, and Brick Tomlin. So that the main 4.
Of course.
The Channel 5 news team.
The Channel 5 news team.
Yeah, so we got to do those 4.
Yep.
So give me Ron and Champ.
Okay. I can do Ron and
I'll
Champ.
digest them, kind of.
Okay.
Whether I argue or not.
Okay.
Or I'm glad I caught you before. You know what? Give me actually Champ and either Brian or Brick.
I'll go Champ and Brian.
Because I have my Ron paired with someone, and I kind of break that.
Okay.
And Ron's the main guy, so I feel like we should leave that kind of towards the end.
And for those of you watching, we're going to do a first on the show. Put the kids to bed. Just fair warning.
Yeah.
We don't want to do this a lot. This is not going to be
NFSW.
Exactly. Not safe for work, for those of you who don't know what that means. This is not going to be a norm, but for this situation, I think it calls for it. But yes, later on, it's going to be a little bit adult rated R. Just fair warning. But yes, so I'll give you my Champ and my Brian.
Okay.
So my Champ, I went Rob Gronkowski.
Okay. Yeah.
Champ knows sports. He's a guy's guy. He's the one that at the party. Obviously in the movie, he's telling all the stories. Everybody's kind of drawn to him. That's Gronk. He has all the stories. He's kind of the whammy guy. The look at me. I want to be loud. I want to be the center of it.
Whammy.
There it is. He's the center of attention. He's the guy that wants everybody to be looking at him. To me, that's Gronk. The life of the party. Where does everybody gravitate to? It's probably going to be Gronk. That's the same thing as Champ. In the movie, he's the guy talking sports. He's the one sitting around the poker table with everybody listening to his stories and stuff like that. So to me, that's Gronk. Brian Fantana, I went Ben Roethlisberger. So to me, Brian's this wannabe ladies man who just doesn't have the ladies man quality, if you will.
Mm-hmm. He thinks he does.
He thinks he does, for sure. But when the chips are down, the ladies just aren't going home with him at the end of the night. Big Ben, to me, that's Brian Fantana. Thinks his game is a lot bigger than what it truly is. You're playing with the best receiver in the league. You were playing with the best running back in the league. You have a great head coach. You had one of the best offensive coordinators in Todd Haley. Big Ben, you're a product of your system. You think you're better than you really are. You've been to Super Bowls that you probably don't deserve to be to. Not saying he's not a great quarterback, because I do think he's a good quarterback, but he has made a lot of money off of other people. And Brian Fantana, as talented as he is and as fun as he is to kind of hang around with, and his stories are probably cool, let's face it, the money's made with Ron Burgundy and the money's made with Champ Kind. Brian Fantana is not the front man, as entertaining as he is.
He's the weatherman.
He's
he's a sports. Excuse me.
There you go.
He's a sports.
Well, Brian is the on-field or the infield reporter.
Yeah.
Champ's So
Champ sports, Brick is weather. Brian's the
kind of
the on-field. Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
The breaking news guy.
Breaking news.
So you
Panda watch.
Exactly. Panda jerk.
Yeah.
So to me, Big Ben is the kind of guy that's like, yeah, you're really great to have on the team, but are you replaceable? Probably. We could probably find somebody to do what you're doing with the talent we have. So yeah, any other elite, I'm air quoting, any other elite quarterback, you put Peyton Manning on those Steelers teams, they have a lot more Super Bowls than what they do with Big Ben. Same with a lot of other quarterbacks. So to me, Big Ben, Brian Fantana, yeah, he's fun to be around. He probably has a lot of really cool stories, but is he the leader, and is he the man that's going to take you to that next level? Probably not, but you probably don't want to trade him for anybody else.
Panda watch. The mood is tense. I have been on some serious...
Exactly. Couldn't have said it better myself. I see those. I like those. I'll stick with Brian Fantana, since that's who you ended with. I went with a similar scenario, I guess. Someone that I see is just the fine dressing, the ladies' man. But I went with Von Miller. But he seals the deal. Like you were saying, the guy you picked didn't really seal the deal for you. I think Von Miller does. He's just, I feel like he has a name for all his extremities, his name for his dance moves after every sack. He has a tremendous sack dance. His suit game is unbelievable, on point. He just went to a Denver auction for, what was the auction for? It was a great cause for Down syndrome, and auctioned his suit off, I believe, for $35,000, which Case Keenum ironically ended up buying. Great teammates there. But the guy is just he's a tremendous, tremendous ladies' man. Von Miller. Do you agree?
I would agree that Von Miller probably gets more ladies than you and I will get in a lifetime.
In like one night, probably.
Very true.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not going to get any more because I'm married. I have one that I love her to death, so it's great. So he's obviously going to get more than me in that retrospect. But he's Brian Fantana to me. He's I just kind of want to replay this clip. It just makes so much sense. I mean,
Please do.
Here we go.
Panda watch. The mood is tense. I have been on some serious reports, but nothing quite like this. Ching King is inside right now. I tried to get an interview with him, but they said, nope, you can't do that. He's a live bear. He will
They
literally
rip your face off. Yeah. So.
You make me look stupid.
Yeah.
Get out here. Panda jerk.
Panda jerk. So Von Miller is my Brian Fantana. My Champ Kind. I think you'll appreciate this one. I went a little guys retired. Pat McAfee, ex-punter for the Indianapolis Colts. To me, he's just a shouter. He's a sports reporter that loves to shout, loves to give his opinion. Champ's kind of the whammy, just gives his opinion no matter what you'll think of it. And Pat McAfee's kind of that same way. Just kind of plays that role. That's like, I'm just gonna talk, say whatever you want. Doesn't matter. So.
I think Pat McAfee would be an excellent casting role for Brian Fantana. I completely agree.
Yeah. Oh, you think he'd be better with Brian Fantana?
Oh, I'm sorry. Champ Kind. My bad.
Okay.
Yes, I think Pat McAfee is a perfect Champ Kind.
Yeah, I think it's a fun comparison. So, okay. On to... We have Ron Burgundy left, Brick Tamlin, and then our write-in.
We do. Do you want to go first, or do you want me to go?
I'll go, I guess.
Yeah,
go
ahead.
My brick. So we'll do my brick, we'll do your brick, and we'll do Ron and your... So my Ron and my fifth kind of tie in together, so that's why I'm kind of leaving them towards the end. So my Brick Tamlin, I actually... You already used him, but I have Rob Gronkowski.
Nice. Okay.
I just feel like the way he talks and the way his sound bites is just like... There's a little bit to be desired, a lot to be desired there with those sound bites, and I could picture him being the weather guy somewhere, and you literally watching and being like, "What the hell is this guy saying?"
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, actually.
Yeah, Ron. Today it's gonna be rain. I could see Rob saying that and him being full serious, and that's Brick Tamlin.
Yeah, I can kind of see that kind of maybe in like the offensive meeting room or something where, Gronk stands up. Yeah, this week we're playing the Miami Dolphins, and then sits back down like he thinks he contributed a hell of a lot to that meeting when everybody was like, yeah, yep, Rob, we are.
Guys, you just got to get off your blocks. Get off your blocks. Something like that.
Exactly.
We're just like,
yep.
Thank you, Rob. We appreciate the.
Yep.
Appreciate you really jumping in there and breaking the film down. I feel like coaches literally are like, thank God this guy is like 6'7" and like athletically gifted, because I don't know if he understands actually the game scheme. But hey, if we tell him like just follow. It's almost like Dorothy. Follow the yellow road. Follow those dashes in the middle of the field, because all Rob runs is freaking 3 routes. Dig routes, out routes, and seam routes. That's all he runs.
Have you seen the soundbite or heard the soundbite of Gronk is in a 2-point stance, and Brady yells out, "Gronk, get down," and he instantly gets in a 3-point stance?
No, I have not seen that.
No, this is from a few weeks ago. Maybe not that long ago. I don't know. Time flies with me, but yeah, he's in a 2-point, and Brady's literally like, "Rob," or I think he says Gronk, get down. 3-point stance.
Like a puppy dog almost.
Just like a little puppet, baby.
Oh man.
Yep.
Classic. But yeah. I mean, he literally runs 3 routes: seam route, out route, in route.
Yep.
I'm like, okay, follow those little hash marks. When you count to 10, turn right. When you count to 10, turn left. I feel like that's... There you go. Brick Tamlin.
I like it. All right. So since your Ron and number 5 are tied together, I'll go ahead and do my brick.
Yeah, do your brick.
I want Christian McCaffrey.
Oh, damn. What?
Yeah. So here's my reasoning.
I'm excited to hear this.
Here's my reasoning. If you have Cam Newton, Greg Olsen, and I don't know, let's say not Thomas Davis. Let's say Luke Kuechly. And then you have Christian McCaffrey as your 4th. Out of those guys, the one that's going to be the worst at trash talking is Christian McCaffrey. So I'm thinking if I just picture the captains at midfield, Like,
Okay.
kind of exchanging some jabs, like digging each other, before the kickoff and all that stuff. I can see McCaffrey being the Stanford running back who's kind of like, he's not really street, he's not really thug, he doesn't really know how to handle the trash talk. When you guys are exchanging those kind of, the who's going to one up each other at
The unpleasantries.
exactly. McCaffrey's that one that's going to say something really, really stupid, and you just kind of look at him like, all right, whatever, dude. You're really good at what you do, but just be quiet. So I can see like the Panthers and the Buccaneers like playing, and the Buccaneers playing like, really? Like even the guy that can't think says something. You guys have nothing? So McCaffrey is that guy that's like, is trash talk. He's trying, but he's not any good at it because he went to an Ivy League school, and he grew up in an NFL family, so he probably didn't have to struggle that much. So to me, that's why I went Brick Tamlin with Christian McCaffrey, just because I think his trash talk is probably like subpar.
Change your diapers. Wipe the dribble away from your bubbling lips. Rub Vaseline all over your hiney and tell you that it's special and different from everyone else's.
He said hiney.
Brick, get back over here.
Hiney.
Does she tuck you in, Ronnie? Give you a little kiss on your forehead? Tell you everything's gonna be okay?
I've had enough of you, man-tooth. This is gonna end right here, right now. Let's dance, dickweed.
You wanna dance, Ronnie?
I want a polka.
I want a polka.
Here it comes.
Come get a taste. Rick, where'd you get a hand grenade?
I don't know.
All right.
Yeah. So okay. So that's the scene where you're alluding to. Christian McCaffrey is more being like he brings a hand grenade to a gunfight. Yeah, to a knife fight.
Yeah.
Like, he has the talent
Yeah.
and the skill.
He's gonna blow it the hell up, but he doesn't really know how or why.
Yeah,
He
or
just
when
doesn't.
or where.
Exactly.
Okay. All
Might,
right.
might be a stretch, but you know what?
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah.
I like it.
I like that you compared it to like with them his realm of like teammates. So like of that realm, I could see that.
Yeah.
I could see it.
Okay. Greg Olson went to the U. Cam went to Auburn, Florida. Like, it's like those guys probably can trash talk. They're from the SEC,
Yeah.
the ACC. Like,
McCaffrey went to the one smart school out
right?
of all those.
And the Pac-12
Stanford.
was like, who are you trash talking?
Yeah.
Like, come on.
Yeah.
All right. Might be a stretch, but I feel like this is the biggest stretch I've had all year.
That's okay. That's okay. You got to look past the actual comparison and look into your explanation, like the trash talking.
Exactly.
So I get it. I get it.
Thank you.
I get it. Okay, so my Ron Burgundy ties right into my fifth write-in, which is Wes Mantooth, played by Vince Vaughn. So my Ron Burgundy is Phillip Rivers. My Wes Mantooth is Jay Cutler. Probably one of the most adorable, yet outrageous, yet underrated rivalries we've seen in the NFL in the last probably 2 decades.
Cutler and Rivers?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I say that because I say 2 decades because they were only rivals for about 3 years. It didn't last very long.
Mm-hmm.
But their rivalry was something beautiful. It was something great. It was something where when one quarterback was on the field, the other quarterback was jawing on the sideline. And cameras caught it. And it was freaking great. It was gorgeous. There was times when Phillip Rivers was literally in the huddle, and you could see Cutler on the Broncos sideline. This is when Cutler was a Bronco. On the sideline, either mouthing stuff or signing stuff or doing something. And Phillip Rivers would literally leave the huddle, throw his hands up, and look at Cutler. Vice versa. There was times when Cutler was in the huddle. He'd leave the huddle, or he'd leave his slide, or he'd leave after a big play, and he'd literally look right at Phillip Rivers and give him a little one of these, little fish shake, little jaw, little something. That was a classic Ron Burgundy Wes Mantooth rivalry. Only fitting that during the time Phillip Rivers played in San Diego, a whale's vagina, in German, of course.
Of course.
I'm just translating for those that don't
Yeah.
speak German.
Of course.
Rest my case. My pen has been dropped.
I applaud you, sir.
Yeah. There
That's
you go.
nice. I like
Yeah.
that. I like it. Okay. So my Ron and my fifth write-in go nowhere near hand in hand.
Okay, that's fair. I appreciate you allowing me to prolong that so I could put them hand in hand.
I appreciate your effort. But our Ron are the same. Phillip Rivers.
Yeah?
Yeah.
It's a fitting Ron.
It is a fitting Ron because, let's face it, San Diego Chargers moved to L.A. Phillip Rivers, go fuck yourself, San Diego.
There it is.
Yeah, there it is. I feel like that's, even though Phillip still lives in San Diego and he like has like this big ass limo that he takes to L.A.
And a farm of children.
Right? Yeah. He could have his own NFL team with his own kids.
He will.
One day he
will.
will coach a team of
Yeah.
his own family.
Yeah. San Diego's getting football back. The San Diego Rivers.
The San Diego River.
Don't go chasing waterfalls.
I love it. Don't even get me started.
GLC's sponsoring that team. San Diego Rivers.
That is so perfect.
Yeah.
But yeah, obviously, strictly just so we could say that quote, San Diego moving to L.A., Phillip Rivers the head of the Chargers. Yeah, we don't need you, San Diego. Thank you for your service. We're gonna move on.
Yeah.
My write-in, I went Jack Black. I don't even know if his character had a name in the movie. But I went John Gruden.
Yeah.
So, Jack Black, if you haven't seen the movie, spoiler alert.
Yes.
Jack Black has a cameo where Ron Burgundy causes this motorcycle rider to wreck. And the motorcycle,
This burrito is good, but it is filling.
but it is filling. So Burgundy throws his burrito, hits the motorcycle guy in the face. He crashes. Burgundy pulls over. So the guy says, "You wrecked something I love." There, I said it. His motorcycle. So he asks Ron, who do you love? Well, I love Scotch and my good friend Baxter, who is his dog. So Jack Black's character takes the dog, punts him over the bridge. Clearly in the movie it's a fake dog. It's not a feel like that is John Gruden. He has taken over the Raiders, punted every single chance they've had at a Super Bowl and said, that just happened, and he walks out. So I feel like John Gruden, if he leaves tomorrow, he's fine with it.
Yeah.
That's John Gruden. He comes in, punts every single chance he have. That just happened. Now what happens next is up to you. To me, just kind of made sense. Kind of a little funny spin on the Jack Black character. I think we may have a soundbite pulled up.
Anthony, clear Batman!
Hello, friend.
What the hell, bro?
Hello, neighbor.
Did you just throw a burrito out your window?
I believe I did.
What are you high or something? Did you see what happened?
I did see. That was a terrific little spill. That's quite a raspberry.
That's my chopper you just thrashed, bros of.
Easy, compadre. I'm your friend out here, all right?
I want you to fix my chopper before I stomp your goofy ass.
If you want to throw down in fisticuffs, fine. I've got Jack Johnson and Tom O'Leary waiting for you, right here.
You destroyed the only thing I love. All right, there it is.
I said it.
What do you love?
I love poetry. And a glass of scotch. And, of course, my friend Baxter here.
Well, guess what? Now this is happening.
Excuse me.
Oh, boy.
Excuse me. What are
Peter,
you
close
doing?
your eyes.
That just happened.
That's how I roll.
That's how I roll.
Oh!
That is every single Oakland Raider fan as soon as John Gruden hits
Yeah.
like 5 weeks into the season.
That's perfect.
Yeah.
Oh, and guess what, Oakland? You have him for 9 more years.
Well, Oakland doesn't.
Well, yeah, Oakland doesn't. But Raider fans, Raider
Raider
Nation,
fans.
Raider Nation, you have him for 9 more years. And from Broncos country to Chiefs Kingdom, we cannot be happier.
Yes. Thank
We
God.
Not be happier.
Oh man. Talk about a guy playing a real life version of Madden.
Yeah,
Let's just trade everything we have and let's see where this goes.
he's playing real life Madden and not doing well. Like, you know those guys online that are just don't make any sense? That's what he's
John
doing.
Gruden. Yeah. I wonder if this is like payback, like for them firing him. It's like, hey, you want to give me a 10-year contract worth $100 million? Let's see how disastrous I can make your organization in those 10 years.
I don't know. The weird thing is, and me and you have talked about this, so it's not like it's all of a sudden developing breaking news. Like, what they did in the offseason made no sense. Like the players they brought in, the draft picks, Colton Miller, 15 overall.
No. What they're doing, in my opinion, is so they have, 3 draft picks in 2019, first round?
They do now, yeah.
So I'm assuming they're going to either, I don't know, get 3, hopefully, top 20 picks, maybe, I don't know, or trade those in for a really high-profile top 5 pick. We'll see. But going into 2019, their last season in Oakland, they're going to have some high-profile rookies. Probably not going to win a lot of games in 2019. I could see them trading away Derek Carr in 2019. Potentially, maybe another top 5 pick in 2020, their first year in Las Vegas. Who's to say they're not planning in their first full season in Vegas having a pretty good 2019 rookie class with a 2020 high-class quarterback prospect, as in Jake Fromm, possibly Tua from Alabama, possibly Jake Fromm's incumbent, who's gonna be the grad transfer at Washington, eligible for the 2020 draft, Jacob Eason. You know, there's a lot of good quarterback prospects in 2020. Maybe they're building for that first year in Vegas. Hey, we got a top 10 quarterback. We got some good prospects from 2019. We're an up-and-coming team. First year in Vegas. They're trying to attract a new fan base. To me, makes sense.
I mean, you're 100% right. They're definitely building for Vegas.
Yeah.
I mean, they have nothing. And they're in Oakland now just playing out their tenure until their stadium is ready. So
Exactly.
I mean, they owe.
They don't care what
Yeah,
what
they don't
goes
give
on.
they don't give 2 shits what happens in Oakland.
No. No,
I mean, you can say they owe Oakland something, which people like us would say they do, but in reality, they don't owe Oakland anything. Like, they
No.
just, they're gonna do what they do, and they're gonna go to Vegas. Hopefully, that's their future. That's what they're trying to build. That's the brand they're trying to build. So they're building something for Vegas. So people in Vegas right now that are actually Raiders fans are probably they're literally thinking what you just said. Yeah, Raiders suck right now. It sucks 'cause I'm a Raiders fan. Were we going to win the Super Bowl this year anyway? No, probably not. Any smart Raiders fan, probably some Raiders fans thought they were dumb.
Yep.
Any smart Raiders fan said, we're not coming to the Super Bowl this year. So, yeah, why not rebuild for when you're coming to my city, Las Vegas, which is going to be awesome, with this beautiful new stadium, and we're going to have a shiny new maybe quarterback. Because that stadium is not going to open until 2020.
Correct.
Maybe 2021. Is it
Possibly.
released the actual date?
I believe it's a fairly solid 2020, but I think there's still a little bit
Wiggle room a little
Yeah,
bit. Probably
yeah.
2020. Which, if 2020, hey, if they're first overall, guess what? Tua's your quarterback.
Yeah,
You could have Tua,
that's pretty sexy.
which is crazy to think that, I don't know what you think about Derek Carr, but I think he's a pretty good quarterback.
I think he is.
But I think they're ready to move on.
I think they'll move on. I think he could end up at somewhere, maybe a Jacksonville or possibly a Dallas, to where they really need that quarterback. But yeah, I don't think he finished his career as a Raider.
I don't know. I'd take him in Denver. I would.
If I was a Bronco fan, I'd take him in Denver.
Especially with who was Derek Carr's offensive coordinator in his best NFL season?
Bill Musgraves, right?
Yeah,
Who was the current offensive coordinator in
in
Denver?
Denver.
Yeah.
Musgrave.
Here's a thought. Rivers is toward the end of his career.
Yeah.
Do the Chargers make a move for Carr? Bring him in to, maybe sit behind Rivers for the last couple of years, and all of a sudden resurgence in LA, and all of a sudden we have Goff and Carr both in LA leading their LA teams.
I don't think your reasoning is bad. I just don't see that happening.
Don't see it happening?
Yeah. I think that makes sense.
Yeah.
If I'm the Chargers, I try to attempt to do that,
Mhm.
but I don't think there's any way.
Yeah,
especially
probably.
with his contract, he would have to either get cut by the Raiders,
Yeah.
or the Chargers would have to trade for him and then be like, "Hey, will you take? You're making $25 million. You want to make $1 million to be our backup?" So I don't see it happening with
Yeah.
his contract.
Far-fetched, but you know.
But it would make a lot of sense,
Yeah.
like
But-
player wise.
If he does land in an AFC West, it's probably most likely Denver.
Yeah.
I hope he doesn't land in an AFC West.
No.
I hope he lands.
I've always been big on Derek Carr. I'd be happy.
I
if he
love
had,
Derek Carr.
Yeah, I hated that he was a freaking Raider.
I did too.
Because I think he's a good quarterback. I think he's gotten ruined by the Raiders organization.
Yeah.
And I also didn't like when he was good because I was like, it's the freaking Raiders. We don't want to see him good.
Here's a scenario for you. It is 2019
Yeah.
postseason, so Raiders have not had their full season in Vegas yet, but they're about to embark on it.
Okay, so this is next season precluded.
This is next season.
Okay.
Giants approach the Raiders and offer you a 4th-round pick, an OBJ, for Derek Carr in a 3rd.
And are you asking if the Raiders would do that?
I mean, does
Maybe.
any team suffer from that, or do both teams have a? Because not only are you embarking in a brand new year in Vegas, you have a pretty high profile wide receiver, more than likely a top 10 NFL draft pick, where you're probably going to spend it on a new franchise quarterback anyway.
Which would be in the 2020 draft, which actually is quarterback friendly.
Exactly.
Oh, if I'm the Raiders, I'd take that all day.
Right?
All
And
day.
if you're the Giants, why the hell not?
Yeah.
You know, you get Derek Carr, who's a proven commodity at quarterback.
I think Derek Carr can be a really good quarterback.
I do too. I don't think he's elite, but I think he's good enough to win a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And if he has the weapons around him like New York does, where if you get Sterling Shepard kind of in his own realm away from OBJ, you have Evan Ingram, who's a very young and kind of this new wave tight end. You have Saquon Barkley, who's a generational running back.
Yeah.
And then you add Derek Carr to that mix.
Yeah, and all you need is like you're like a tackle away.
Yeah, you
You're
need
an offensive lineman away.
you
for
need
sure.
to boost your O-line
Yeah.
for sure. But that's a damn good offense.
No.
Their defense isn't that far off.
No.
You might need a shutdown corner. But I mean, if you got Derek Carr throwing to Sterling Shepard, handing off to Saquon Barkley, Evan Ingram's kind of there to take the ease off of a secondary receiver, and then Raiders get OBJ and a fresh young rookie quarterback going into 2020, heading into a brand new era in Vegas. That's good for both sides.
Yeah, I think so. Makes a lot of sense.
You never know. NFL's a crazy world, man.
Yeah. That would be funny, though, seeing Derek Carr in a Giants jersey.
It would be. Almost as weird as seeing OBJ in a Raiders jersey.
Yeah, that's true. That is very true.
Yeah. You never know, dude.
Never know.
Coach and the Don have been right a lot of times.
I'm not one to toot our own horn. I hate when people do that.
I do too.
But we have been right a lot.
We've been right because if I remember right, I think like a week before it happened, someone said that they wanted to see Amari Cooper traded to the Cowboys.
Yeah.
I think that was you.
Yeah.
And then
before anyone broke the story.
Yeah, and then like 7 days later, Amari Cooper is a Dallas Cowboy.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think if people want to know what's going to happen in the NFL and in the football world and the sports world in general, they might want to start tuning into the Coach and the Don.
Yeah, it just makes sense.
It does, just because, I believe, on this podcast we said Matt Nagy was going to be a pretty hot commodity as an NFL head coach. We brought up Matt Campbell.
Nagy is a head coach now, and a good one.
Doing pretty well.
Doing pretty well.
Doing pretty well.
Yeah, for the first place Bears.
Yeah, for the first place Bears.
Continue on.
Matt Campbell, we brought him up when a lot of people didn't really know who he was.
Yep, you sure did.
And about a week or two later, all of a sudden, he's everywhere.
a hot name, yeah.
Just now, we brought up. Go ahead.
Who?
No. Yeah.
I feel like you were giving me a layup, but
I was.
I just watched it go over my head.
You did. We just brought up something that's probably going to happen.
Well, it'll come.
Yeah,
to me. It'll come to me.
That just slipped both of our minds.
No, it'll come to me.
Yep.
I'm sure we said it.
We did. Smart. We did because we went on this tangent for a reason.
Yeah.
But now all of a sudden we can't remember what we were talking about.
Well, it'll come back.
But when you're right, as often as we are,
yeah,
it gets lost in the shuffle.
Yeah, that's right. So we're not worried about it. We're just gonna keep doing what we do.
Keep doing what we do.
Yeah, and that being said, we're gonna move on to our last segment.
We are.
Cities with the best chance of multiple champions from different sports.
Yes, sir.
Most of these cities obviously are going to be like your mainstream cities. Obviously, they have like way more teams than other cities, but there might be some that are more outspoken. That's kind of a fun one. So
yeah, I like it.
Give me your I think we did like 5 through 1. Give me your 5 and 4.
Okay.
No order. We didn't give an order, but just so give me 2, I guess.
Yeah. So I'll just give you my. I wrote the ones down as I thought of them. So the last 2 I thought of. Chicago with I think the Cubs and the Bears. Mm-hmm. I don't think the Bears are that far off. I think we just mentioned it. They have a great new head coach, young and up and coming. They have a former number 2 overall pick in Mitch Trubisky. They have a great defense. They traded for Khalil Mack, so they have that premier defensive guy. Their offense is young. They're good. Jordan Howard, Allen Robinson, the kid out of Memphis, Anthony Miller. I think they're very good. Their offensive line is good. Kyle Long needs to get back healthy. But the Bears, I think, are going to be legit NFC contenders here in the next 2 to 3 years.
Yeah, and their best thing is probably their head coach.
Yes. And then the Chicago Cubs. If they can get – I've heard inklings that they're going to sign a few big free agents this offseason. They already have a good base. They won the World Series 2 years ago.
I believe 2 years ago, yeah.
I believe they won in 2016.
Yeah, they lost the wild card this year.
Yeah, but I think they have that good base of young talent. So the Cubs are, I think, for the next,
they're set for the next 5 or 6 years.
Yeah,
to at least compete.
Yeah, and their biggest competition in their division happens to be the St. Louis Cardinals. But yeah, I think the Cubs are going to have a chance at a World Series in the next handful of years. Same with the Bears. So Chicago is my first one. The second one is Houston with the Rockets and the Texans. Rockets, CP3 doesn't get hurt, and I think they might go to the NBA Finals last year. But with their healthy roster, and then Houston with the roster they have and the coaching staff with Brian, and then Deshaun Watson, obviously. They just traded for Demaryius Thomas. They have DeAndre Hopkins. They have Lamar Miller. If they can probably add a little bit boost to the running game in the draft, offensive line could do a little bit of work. J.J. Watt's toward the end of his career, but he's still a very good defensive end in the 3-4. And then you have Jadeveon Clowney. You have the Honey Badger back there in that defense. But yeah, Houston with the Rockets and the Texans, I think it wouldn't be that far-fetched to see Houston Rockets win an NBA championship at the same time that the Houston Texans win an NFL championship.
Yeah, not at all. And I actually had Houston was one of my cities on my list. I actually had Texans and Astros in that list.
Oh, God, how did I forget the Astros?
Yeah.
Okay,
well,
yeah. Throw them in there, too, because they have just as – they probably have more of a chance of winning a World Series.
But, But the Rockets – I didn't say the Rockets, and the Rockets are a very viable – you look at that roster, that should be a – for sure championship roster, but, the NBA is another animal. We can get that later. Okay, so I'm going to break down my, 5 through 4. This one's more of a shot in the dark. little beer pong throw. I'm just like, I'm just gonna throw it there.
Yeah.
Cleveland.
Okay.
I'm gonna say
It's sexy, but I want to hear it.
yeah, Cleveland Browns. Because we did the realm was like 5 years, right?
Yes.
That was our portrait.
Yep.
So 5 years. So let's say 5 years from today, Baker
Okay.
Mayfield's 5 years in the league.
Mm-hmm.
They have a new head coach who is just on fire, doing great. They have a great defense. Jim Schwartz comes in as their defensive coordinator.
So their interim head coach is no longer there? Greg Williams
No,
is
Greg
gone?
Williams is gone.
He's
Get rid of
gone.
that guy.
All right.
Yeah, he's gone.
Get the hell out of here.
I have nothing against Greg Williams, let's be honest. Like, when that season ends, unless they finish, like, of those games, like, more than 500. So what is there, 6 games left?
Yes.
So unless they finish 4-2,
Mhm.
they're not keeping Greg Williams. They're bringing in a new head coach, and he's cleaning house. So you got a new head coach.
Okay.
Yeah, I like Cleveland. Me and you have talked all the time. We love Baker Mayfield. I think he's the number one quarterback, or at least the rookie prospect quarterback. Yeah, Cleveland Indians. They've shown talent every single year. They have great pitching staff. Good bullpen. Good hitting. Good coaching.
Mm-hmm.
Terry Francona over there. They made it to the World Series last year.
Yep.
They made it to the playoffs the year before that. So yeah, I think they could be a potential. So I like Cleveland sports as a potential 2-time championship winner.
Okay.
The other one, I did more. I know we did 5. I did more just 'cause I wanted to make sure I didn't get duplicates. Obviously, I had Chicago in there, but I took them out since you said that.
Mm-hmm.
I had Houston in there as well. Okay, so I'll use my other one. Washington.
Okay.
I don't love the Redskins. I don't love Alex Smith.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that team has talent. I think they could have potential in 5 years. There's a lot of talent there. The defense is very strong. I don't think Alex Smith is the one to lead them to a Super Bowl, but I think in that 5-year realm, they could find someone that could potentially do it. The defense is very strong, very young.
Yes.
So, and then on other sports, hockey, they have the Capitals, won the cup last year.
Yep.
They're going to be just as good, if not better, this year. So they could repeat very easily. So they're a team going forward that's going to be extremely strong.
All right, dude. I can't argue with any of those. I do have different ones, so I'm going to go ahead and dive right into those. I mentioned Chicago and Houston with the Cubs and Bears respectively, and then the Rockets and the Texans. I'm going to go kind of I guess you could call it easy, kind of an easy way out, but I'm going to go Boston. Obviously, the Patriots are always a Super Bowl contender with Brady and Belichick at the helm and Robert Kraft doing what he does. But the Red Sox just won the World Series. They beat the Dodgers in, I believe, 5 games. No, I'm sorry, 6. 4 games to 2, I believe. Don't quote me on that. But Red Sox won it. Patriots are still a contender in 2018 to win the Super Bowl, so they could achieve this year if possible. If not this year, then possibly years down the road, because Chris Sale and David Price still, I think both are going to be Red Sox pitchers for the next 3 to 4 years. Patriots, as long as Brady and Belichick are at the helm, I think you're in pretty good shape. And then even you could throw in the Boston Celtics with Kyrie Irving and Horford, who played his college ball at Florida. I think the Celtics are always going to be, especially with LeBron now with the Lakers. The Eastern Conference is kind of up for grabs, so the Celtics could very, very easily and realistically make the NBA Finals. So in all reality, it's potentially okay. Let's say this: it's potential for the Patriots, Red Sox, and the Celtics to all win a world title in their respective sport this year. Red Sox have already done it. Patriots could legitimately do it again this year, and the Celtics with Kyrie and the team they have up in Boston, they could realistically represent the East in the NBA Finals. So Boston is definitely up there, and then I put LA with the Rams and the Lakers, and then the Dodgers. We put a five year time span on this. So the Lakers with LeBron, obviously they're going to attract a lot of free agents. There's been names like Anthony Davis thrown around, coming to L.A. DeMarcus Cousins could potentially be coming to L.A. Kawhi Leonard potentially coming to L.A. to join LeBron. As long as LeBron is in L.A. in the next 5 years, it's very realistic that the Lakers could bring home another NBA championship. Rams, they could potentially do it this year. They have a great offense, very good defense. Just got beat by the Saints last week, their first real setback of the season.
With a horrible defense.
Right?
Ironically,
very true.
Yeah.
But, yeah, the Rams are still a very legitimate Super Bowl contender. And then the Dodgers, obviously, they've been in the past 2 World Series this year, losing to the Red Sox, and then the year prior losing to the Astros. But it is very, very realistic and within the realm of possibility that L.A. could see 2 professional sports championships coming to their coming to their city very soon.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I think Boston's the opposite one.
Mm-hmm.
It's unfortunate because we've seen it for so long, and I think it's getting so old. But it is
getting old.
I tried to keep them out of it, but it's like, how can you not when it's
exactly? Yeah.
You have the Patriots that are good every single year. The Celtics are freaking stacked, especially in the East, which is so poor in the NBA.
Mm-hmm.
And you have the Red Sox that literally won the World Series 2 weeks ago.
Exactly. Yep.
So that was one on mine. New Orleans. Did you have them?
I did not have them.
So New Orleans, okay. So that's one I'll throw in that you did not have.
I'm curious to see who you have other than the Saints.
Yeah, well, they only have one other team other than the Saints, and this is
Pelicans?
the Pelicans.
And okay, so Davis, are you banking on Davis staying?
Davis. I think Davis is a lifer for New Orleans. I think so. There's no way they let that guy walk. He's the face of the franchise.
Sure. It's funny because bringing him up as a potential addition to the Lakers with LeBron.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean it's very, very possible that he stays in stays in New Orleans as a lifer.
He should. I mean, I think being drafted by that franchise and being kind of the eyebrow of that franchise, if you will. Had to say it. Had to do it.
I'm glad you did.
Yeah, there's no way they let him go, and they've been competitive with him there. Yeah, they've had not necessarily their best years. They traded for Cousins last year, and really that did not benefit them because they were the same type of player. They need someone. They need someone on the point that's going to run the point, and he's going to run the base and under the hoop. So they really need to find their identity. Find someone that's going to fill in and play that role that's going to complement Davis. But, I think Davis is a lifer there. And I think if they recognize that, they have a very solid team. And they're, let's be honest. No one's winning in the NBA, especially the West, until Golden State breaks their dynasty up.
Very true. If I'm going off of your theory here, if I'm the Pelicans, I'm going all in on Jimmy Butler. Trying to pair Jimmy Butler with Anthony Davis and then build around those two.
Well, and he makes perfect sense. Like them going in with Boogie Cousins last year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was a splash move. It was cool, but it made no sense because they're the same type of player.
Yeah,
they literally play the same role.
Yeah,
play the same game.
Yeah.
Jimmy Butler, on the other hand,
now you have a premier guard with a premier post.
Exactly, adds a premier guard with a premier resume that completely is a different game than what you already have.
Yep.
Makes total sense. So I don't know why maybe they are going to go on in that. I don't know.
Maybe. You never know. So we're both down to our number one, correct?
Well, I kind of skipped around. So you already said my number one. My number one is LA.
Okay. Yeah, which makes sense.
Yeah, I don't need to extend anymore. Rams. I don't think the Lakers are going to win anytime soon, but Dodgers are at least in contention. They've been in the World Series the last 2 years. So.
Very true. Yeah, can't argue that. My number one, I pride myself in kind of going outside of the box, but I don't think this is too outside of the box. But I went Atlanta with the Braves, the Falcons, and you could throw the Hawks in there. I don't think the Hawks are that realistic.
No.
But Falcons and the Braves, I think they are.
See, I thought about Atlanta.
Yeah?
I did. I don't think the Braves will get there.
You don't think the Braves can do it? I mean,
No.
even with the young roster they have and being a series away just this past year? I mean, Acuna's only a rookie.
Yeah.
They have a great young pitching rotation. And they're a very young team. I think they could be the next Dodgers in the NL. How the Dodgers have kind of been there. They're the team. I think the Braves are going to supplant them as, because Kershaw's on the back nine. Their roster, I think that window for the Dodgers, even though I had them on my list, that window's closing.
Yeah.
And as that window closes for the Dodgers, I think it's opening for the Braves. In the Falcons, as long as they have Matt Ryan, Dan Quinn, they have that running game with Coleman and Freeman, Jones, Ridley, that offense is very dangerous. And if they can keep the defense healthy, that's the Super Bowl contending team.
Yeah.
So I think it's very realistic to see the Braves win a World Series and the Falcons win a Super Bowl anytime between now and 2022.
Yeah. I mean, I 100% agree with you on the Falcons. The Braves, yeah. I mean, that's a very talented roster, like you said. I'm more basing them on what I saw this year and them just getting absolutely dismantled by the Dodgers.
Mm-hmm. And I think that has more to do with youth. So I think
which, like you said, like 2-3 years. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. We can see that.
I think it could happen.
Yeah. Okay. I like that. That's number one. That's good. That is good. I think the only one that I was not mentioned. Did you mention Pittsburgh?
I did not.
I had Pittsburgh on there, just with the Steelers and Penguins. Always powerhouses.
Sure. And I feel like I don't think I had any hockey teams. I think that's our first hockey team, Penguins, right?
I had a few. I had Washington with the Redskins and Capitals.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, you're right.
But yeah, that's basically it.
I like it though. I think that's a good. I think what we came up with,
yeah,
all very realistic. And
yeah,
I think
definitely realistic.
Any one of them, any of those combinations could happen.
It just sucks because in reality, the most realistic is Boston.
Unfortunately,
which of course has happened multiple times, which I'm just sick of seeing.
Yeah, I am too, and I think a lot of people out there are.
Yeah, so. Well, there you have it. I mean.
Yeah. Not too much more to say about that.
Yeah. Well, what a great show.
Yes, sir.
Probably one of our longest shows.
I'm sure it is.
Yeah.
But you know what? When the Coach and the Don get together, time is irrelevant.
That's right. Time is not of the essence.
It ceases to exist.
That's right. So, anything you want to add before we sign off?
I love you. I love the Diary of Don. I love every single person watching, every single person listening. We do this for you. As much as we do it for ourselves, we do it for you. And we try to put out the best content out there possible. So let us know if we're doing our job. Let us know if we're not doing our job. Because if you guys let us know we're not, we'll listen. Because you are the ones. You're the voice that we want to listen to.
100%. Couldn't say it better. No, we want to hear what you guys have to say. That being said, please go to Sports Al Dente. Subscribe to our content. Subscribe to the podcast, The Coach and the Don. We have multiple other podcasts on our network. We just keep growing. It's great. It's super fun.
We're like that weird pimple on your back that you really want to get rid of, but yet at the end of the day, you're really glad it's still there. So we're Sports Al Dente. We're that pimple on your back that you wish you could get rid of, but in the back of your mind, you're like, you know what? We want to keep that around.
Yeah. I'm not going to fight that, but yeah, there you go. We're your
back pimple.
Yeah. They were the sports pimple you've always wanted. So there you go.
We'll edit that out. Don't worry about it.
Nope, we're not going to. That stays. So,
Coach and the Don, where editing doesn't happen.
Yeah. Nope. It's all live. So we love you guys. Appreciate it. Make sure, like we said, go to sportsaldente.com. Subscribe to one of our packages, please. We appreciate it. Our goal is to just give you the best content we possibly can. If you don't like it, let us know. Please.
Yeah, because we cater to you.
Yeah, but here.
Yeah.
We're here every week. So, Coach and the Don, have a great rest of your week.
Sports Al Dente, where your sports are always served perfect.
Gonna find my baby, gonna hold her tight, gonna grab some afternoon delight. My motto's always been when it's right, why wait until the middle of a cold dark night? When everything's a little clearer in the light of day. And we know the night is always gonna be here anyway. Thinking of you's working up my appetite. Looking forward to a little afternoon delight. Rubbing sticks and stones together, making sparks ignite. And the thought of loving you is getting so exciting. Sky rockets in flight.
Boo!
Afternoon delight. You guys have it, I think. Afternoon delight.
I don't know, Ron. That sounds kind of crazy.